where Rachel is monitoring to make sure that I'm not cocking it up and doing a grand job. I think you can hear 3 people now.
Now you just got to get them back on screen.
Good stuff, man.
Hooray! Now, what have I done with this though?
It's probably better that they can't see our faces. Let's be honest with us tonight. Like,
We
we've
have
all got
noise
faces on
apparently.
video.
Did you take notes, Kieran?
Of what I did, no. However,
Hey, there we are, there we are.
we're back on. I just need to make sure that I put us below the it's all coming together. Just so that people know.
That's it, man.
I've
And you've done
just
it all
about
by
done it.
yourself
Just
with
about.
absolutely no help from Rachel. She was useless.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Definitely wouldn't say that to her face. Right, we're moving. Not only are we moving on the stream, but
Hello,
Richard
everybody.
say Horus is the best. Right, kick Richard from the stream. Welshie say I've bought too many Titans.
I don't have too many Titans. I've got the perfect amount of Titans.
I'm looking for the chat to say they heard that he's got the perfect amount of Titans.
Oh, right, sorry, I thought you were just taking the piss.
No, well, yeah, that as well.
No, Horus is the best. Yeah, he is. Of course he is. He's the
Best
mastermind
at being
behind
a
it all.
Now, please, people
best
in
at
the
being
chat,
a bitch.
did that work the way it should have worked? I've got one yes.
We've got one yes. All good.
That'll do.
No,
Fire,
Guys,
Titan,
no.
stop.
As long as you can hear these 2 people who are... when you're trying to do a sound test, there's nothing more helpful than someone who just goes quiet and doesn't participate. Right, so as long as you can hear these 2, 20 minutes late to getting started, but it's fine as long as you guys can hear us. He doesn't have them all yet, so he's got a wee bit of way to go yet. I don't know how
I've
to
got the
pronounce
same amount as
the
Richard.
bone Tim dies. Is that how you pronounce that? Someone says they can unfortunately hear Richard now. Right.
Oh, that's David. That's my brother. Slagging me off.
Griffonicus' shit has just come in from Callum. I've got Griffonicus as well. Get him banned. Right. We're sorted. Finally, we can go back to actually doing it.
Yes.
See you later, Mr. Novembers. I'm
later,
glad
Chris.
that you got to see me get a massive beamer. You could heat... the sun pales in comparison to the beamer I've got just now from trying to get that organised. I swear we did test it and it did work at one point. So, brilliant.
What's even worse because you've gone bald, mate. I'm just saying.
Because I've been rubbing away, the stress has rubbed away my fringe.
Yeah,
Anyway, less about me and back to where we were, which hopefully I won't have cocked that up and given it all away. There will be an audio file available. It's going to be on Twitch, I think. It should save it, but I'll try and edit out that 20 minutes of me having an absolute panic attack. Okay, anyway, we were about to start interviewing Welshie there before we realised it was just me that was having a lovely time talking to myself. So I asked him, how long have you been in the hobby for?
Well, so recap. 25 years chronologically, but about 15 years of actual hobby time. Took a few breaks, was in the army, couldn't really do it because I would have got beat to death probably by my peers. Obviously hobbying isn't very macho, so yeah, took a break and then another break as well when I had my eye problems. So about 15 years out of the last 25. Started off with Space Crusade when I was 12. I don't know if anybody remembers that, but that was my first taste of it. And then 40k mainly, and now 30k, because even before 30k was a thing, the 40k nerds loved 30k, you know. So
I think that's pretty much the same path that I think most of us over the age of about 30 will have taken. As a slightly younger gun, Richard, who won't know what Space Crusade is, how long have you been in the hobby for?
Let's see. So I remember going down to Edinburgh, 2001, 2000.
That must be when you were
11.
about 6 or something like that.
No. So I started about then. I remember going down there, a wee Highland laddie, going to the big city, picking up my first box of Tyranids. Absolutely loved it. Obviously made a shit job of them, but
Yeah, what
you
on,
know.
man? You still
Um,
have them?
no, nah.
Okay.
And I played until I was about 15, and then I took a break. Obviously, liked the idea of getting a girlfriend, more of models. And I took a break from that point until maybe for about 7 years. Now, when I was younger, I was absolutely obsessed with Warhammer, right? Okay. So the Games Workshop opened in Inverness, and a couple of my mates said, let's start again. And I was totally against it because I was like, I'm going to get so deep into this. I'm just going to get over the top about it. So eventually I agreed. And I said to them, I was like, right, I'm just going to buy secondhand models. I'm just going to buy Tyranids, and I'm going to paint them in the stupid scheme of candy floss coloured Tyranids, which was actually really cool, and everybody liked it. So that would have been about 8 years ago now, 7 years ago now. And now look at me, I've just bought a house and got a hobby room. So
That's gone from
gone balls deep.
a really nice little story there about the candy flossness to then just being like, look at me, I've got a hobby room now. I'm not sure that's like what the viewers would want to hear. If there's a few comments on that, so I don't know who Kia Base is. Do you remember bullying me with your lizard men too? Aye, as someone has said.
Yeah, that's my brother.
All right, okay. So you've basically chased your brother out of the hobby. That's good.
Yeah, I've done that.
So Dick, your story is basically the middle class equivalent of becoming a junkie and selling all your stuff. But with money.
You can see he's just moved in. He's not got a lampshade on his hobby room yet, but he's made a good effort of getting the rest of it ready.
Hold on, a lampshade could buy me a couple of tubs of glue. Okay, come on.
It would also make it because you have less light.
In answer to your question, I've probably been in the hobby then about 12 years all in.
Okay.
So.
When we decided to do this stream, I knew it was going to be a challenge from the comments. One of the comments there from Tom, do you guys paint more than Kieran? I think that's pretty much a given, seeing as there's actually painted models on their desks. We don't need to ask that of them. In the comment, anyone beat, so that was quite a lengthy time. I'm the same. I've been in the hobby since I was about 9, and I took a break for chasing girls as well. Obviously unsuccessfully, since I didn't marry any of the girls that I was in the hobby again when I met Rachel, so it obviously didn't matter in the end. So
that's the thing, but you don't know that when you're 15, right?
No, definitely don't. That's when you get your practice in, I guess. Anyway, that was quite a long-winded answer to that. What I'm really getting at is, when did you get into the Heresy, Welshie?
Probably about 2005, 2006, when Heresy Rising came out. Oh, sorry, Horus Rising. Can't even get the name of the book right. Yeah. So I'd always been like interested in it from like the brief snippets of lore that you get in the rule books and stuff like that, but it was never really fleshed out. I kind of bypassed the first version of Adeptus Titanicus and Space Marine and stuff like that, so the Heresy was always like, oh, mythology, let's go, it's like the history of this fake universe. And then Visions of Heresy got printed, the 4 separate volumes. I got all of them, and that was me hooked, basically. So from that point on, all my 40k armies were Heresy themed, but there was no rules framework to support it and no official models. The first like Mark IV armour was the Red Scorpions upgrade kit, so I had a full army made up of them. And yeah, that was it. And then obviously when book 1 came out, I think that must have been 2008, was it? Maybe?
James would know the day it came out. He would have that. He's probably got a tattoo of it somewhere.
Yeah, I think it was 2008, but don't quote me on that. That was me, so I've been playing Heresy since then. Yeah. So from day one, so I could be a gatekeeper. I was here when it started. But I won't be, but I could be.
And can you elaborate, Richard, on yours?
Do you know what? I'd probably say I probably got into Heresy with just before the release of Betrayal at Calth. Because I remember before that, you invited me along for a tester game. I think that was just before the release. So what date was that?
Did I let you win?
No, I was on your side.
That's fine.
No, he beat you because he's a whacker.
No, it was me and you versus two other guys. And I'll always remember it because I remember you gave me a squad of 10 autocannons. And it's one of my best gaming moments, just firing off all that lead. Just thought, this is great.
So
and then after that, I was hooked.
I'm responsible for you getting Iron Havocs and ruining my life in the Heresy.
Yeah, it's your fault.
That's
Always
a strong
over.
accusation, right? I mean,
I don't remember that,
You've
actually. I don't
ruined
remember that event, that game. Was it two randoms that we played?
No, it was
cheers,
Alex Barton and AK
Ah, okay.
at the old club we started.
Did we win?
Oh, yeah, of course we did.
That's fine then. Okay.
never
So-
in doubt.
We're getting into the more. This is more metaphysical question. I'm looking for some answers in the chat here. Welshie, if you were a shape, what shape would you be?
A shape?
Yeah.
I'm going to stand up. I would be fucking round, mate.
And Richard, what shape would you be?
What shape?
Yeah.
Oh, do you know what? I'm going to say round as well, actually.
That's a bit of a cop out, I'd say. I'm getting comments on how tidy. This is obviously someone that knows me. I don't know who Crossers85 is, but look how tidy Kieran's room is. Seems to be a recurring theme. We don't want the hashtag Kieran's got a tidy wargaming room. We want the hashtag Heresy.ScotCast, if you don't mind. But thanks for the compliments, very nice. So we've got, I'm hoping it is Timdies, not Tim Dies, but the Bone Timdies. Warhammer World's Forge World shop got me into the Heresy. Hadn't heard of it before seeing the displays. So he just walked in and started buying it, which is probably the dream of the Forge World staff.
Fuck about a cold open, man.
Just went to town. But yeah, I think Richard's point of Betrayal at Calth is obviously it's one that's is recurring, where without the plastic starter set, we're kind of stuck a wee bit. It's almost going back to the 50 quid for a resin squad days, because you've got to buy such an expensive kit now without the discounters being able to get it.
It's
Okay.
a hard sell now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a bit more expensive, but that's something that we were going to hopefully talk about in a wee bit, of one of our ideas of trying to find a way of getting the...
Did somebody say printing? Yep.
I mean, I'm guilty. I've got some stuff down here just out of shot of 3D printed stuff, so yeah, definitely. Okay, so Welshie, what forces have you got in your collection?
Hey, well, got a massive Iron Warriors army. When I first came back to Heresy, I thought, oh yeah, I'll pick Iron Warriors because they will be quote unquote easy to paint. But yeah, it turns out you don't just like spray them silver, then wash them, right? There's actually more to it than that. But before I learned that, I was in it to win it. So I've got about 8,000 points Iron Warriors, primarily loyalist, so I don't have any traitor-specific units other than I painted up Peter Rabble because why not? So yeah, got a lot of them, and I'm currently working on Shattered Legions for Imperium Secundus and kind of almost Siege Army as well. So my plan is I'm going to do 4 separate little mini detachments of Dark Angels, Blood Angels, Ultramarines, and Imperial Fists. So I can merge it. They can either be Shattered Legions from Imperium Secundus with the 3 first ones I mentioned, or I can flip it and use Blood Angels and Imperial Fists for a siege force. A wee bit of Hobby Butterfly, so I want to like not get bogged down painting 100 guys the same colour, you know. Power armor's great, but it does get a wee bit boring after a while. So I'm just going to mix it up, and I've got my new Titan here. I've got her sister up there out of shot, and yeah, and a bunch of knights as well. I love big robots, you know. Unfortunately, they're kind of imbalanced in game, so I doubt I'll ever use more than one at a time. But I still love the models. You know, they're some of the best kits that Forge World makes, so I'll continue to collect them. Yeah, that's me.
Okay, and you, Richard?
Well, I've just got my Alpha Legion. I think on last count about 20,000 points worth painted,
Painted.
and
Crazy, man.
I've actually got another. I don't know. I've probably got about at least another 3,000 points unpainted, I would say. But they are like an all-comers army. I absolutely love them. So I kit them out for any role, any rite of war use. And I've got a couple of Titans, Warhound, a Reaver just bought, but you know yourselves, that's not even started yet.
Yeah.
And I'm starting Militia version probably 5 or 6. Because it always seems to start but it never goes anywhere. So we'll see how that goes. But
I think
that's pretty much it.
that, mate, militia's a great idea, right? I think everybody wants to do militia, but
Yeah.
the reality of painting like 150 guys that are worth a couple of points each, when that sinks in, you're like, oh yeah, I'll just go back to Marines.
Well, do you know what? I've got an advantage here because I've painted about 150 skeleton warriors for fantasy, so
That's nothing.
that's nothing, yeah.
Yeah.
So we've got in the so Loyalist Iron Warriors from Callum, and then what looks like some very sick people emojis, and then Graham has concurred that the Alpha Legion are the best Legion. Not sure
Of course
about
they
that.
are.
And
course they are.
you've had a compliment from Tom on your Warhound, which is headless, I think.
It's heads here. It's heads here.
And you've been challenged. When are you going to get 30,000 points, Richard?
Soon. End of the year. 30,000 points.
That's a bold claim. And then
I've got plans.
we've had so can't wait to join the upcoming hopefully event. There will be an event one day whenever we're allowed to go outside. Not sure when that'll be, but hopefully it'll be very soon. Oh, and I think that's got to be Finn as the Cumbrian Heresy saying militia are truly the best force in the Heresy though. Which
His militia are.
Yeah,
Solar Auxiliary are a bit
absolutely
better
awesome.
though, I'd say, but that's just me being biased. Okay, so a couple more questions on sort of what's your favourite model, Welshie, in the entire Heresy series, even if you don't currently own it?
Controversially, right, because it's so basic, it's the Death Guard Contemptor. I own 4 of them. 3 of them are painted. It's just like, so Contemptor, generally, my favourite unit, right? I feel like it's so iconic, Heresy era. But the Death Guard one is like, it just looks so utilitarian and brutal, and I love it. Yeah. So I know that will be like an unpopular opinion because like there's so much more visually interesting and like artistic minded models out there. But for me, the Death Guard Contemptor's number one because it just exudes that like it's no nonsense. It's a war machine. There's no decorations. Like all it's got is a wee bit of trim and a few studs. So yeah, for me that's the best. I've never painted one in Death Guard. Obviously, they're like Dark Angel, Blood Angel, and Iron Warriors, the ones that I've painted. So, it'll always be my favourite. It'll be a tough one to beat for me.
It's a very versatile kit as well. Sort of finds its way into a lot of armies, I think. What about you, Richard?
My favourite model in the Heresy has to be Angron. I absolutely love that model. He just looks great. He looks angry, running through, swiping left and right. He's a fantastic model to paint as well, which I've had the opportunity to do, but unfortunately I sold it, which I've always regretted. But I just think it's a great cast. It just shows off his character, that model.
It's interesting.
Yeah,
a lot
it
of
was
people,
the first one as well.
yeah, first one out.
So
A lot of people don't really like that model, which is interesting. I think that's very
Really?
Yeah. There's quite a few people think it's kind of one of the weaker casts because
It's
obviously
because the silhouette's different, mate. He's not iconically a Space Marine. He's, I think that's maybe people's beef with it. He's more like streamlined, gladiatorial. So is Fulgrim though, for that point. But yeah, I think maybe people don't like him because he's not got that quintessential Space Marine look.
So we're looking for who can beat that in the chat. Anyone got any thoughts on? I think you've gone for a versatile kit there. in the Death Card Contemptor, which means it can find its way into lots of places. I think Angron is he's hard done by because he is in a sort of a sprint pose, like he is cutting his way through I think that's where people think he looks almost short or he's not in the right proportions. But if you stretched his legs out, he would be. I don't think Forge World would make that sort of a mistake on the first one out to make him be like he's got midget legs or something like that.
What's yours? You're getting asked, mate.
What's mine? Well, I would pick something Space Wolfy, but the Space Wolf Praetor is not going to make it to the top of that list, that's for sure. That's a good question. I think probably for me, I'm looking at my collection here, I would probably go for something like the original Contemptor, even though it's not got any of the bling, and when you have more than one of them, because they've got the purity seals on the chest there, they start to get a bit repetitive. But the Contemptor, because it was just that first kit I got, like that was when I got really into it. I spent a lot of money on the bundles they had. That's amazing bundles on Forge World where you'd get the 30 tactical marines with the weapons and the banners and stuff. But obviously it was still way more expensive than the plastics are today. And I got a few of them from a World Eaters, and I've still got my 3 Contemptors are hanging on there. I was tempted to sell them, but not sure I can get rid of them when they were the first thing I got for the Heresy. So we've got someone saying Sicarans, which is actually, well, 2 people saying Sicarans. Very good. I think that's, you just didn't expect it when it came out. I've got one over there. Didn't expect that kit to appear. It just kind of came out of nowhere. Like it was one of these ones where they just dropped it and everyone had that sort of shock. Leviathan Dread, Horus, Loken and Abaddon together. I guess it's kind of that split between something versatile that everyone can use and that sort of iconic, like Abaddon staring down Loken as a key scene in the Heresy. So it's some good options there. And then Tom remembers the tactical bundle. I'm sure it was an obscene amount of money when you actually look back, but it did, at the time it was a saving. Not sure it would be much of a saving over 3 boxes of plastic Mark III or whatever today though. Okay, now this is where you guys in the chat are going to need to come up with some answers so we can share them round. So we'll start with Welshie. So you're allowed to travel into the far future to a few weeks before the Heresy begins, and you can get one Primarch alone to tell them exactly what's going to happen in the Horus Heresy. Who are you going to tell and why?
Let's go for, I'm going to tell Horus, because the whole thing about the Heresy is it's a tragedy, right? It's like, it's the ultimate tragedy. It's, it could have been written in ancient Greece. So he gets lied to, he discovers that he's been lied to, and he still sides with Erebus anyway and takes his advice, but he just never knew how big the lie was. Like, the whole Heresy is a lie. The whole Chaos plan is a lie. They've been misled, they've been deceived, and they become slaves to darkness because they sell their souls. And then I think ultimately the fact that he realises his mistake at the end and lets the Emperor kill him. I don't know if they're going to retcon that now in the Siege of Terra series, but as we know it from the last 30 years, that's what happens. So yeah, I think maybe, assuming that he would believe me, I would tell him.
That's the gamble, though. That's what I'm saying. You've got to think about this a wee bit. He might just slam a mace right through your head right there. World Breaker coming down.
Yeah, it might be like, how did this tiny little fat guy get on the Vengeful Spirit? Yeah, what?
You're the first demon.
Yeah, man.
And then you, Richard?
I'd have to tell Alfarius. Have to. Just so I can see him start to work his magic.
Duck when Dorn comes swinging at you.
Yeah, just so he can get his fingers into things and start to manipulate the situation for his own good. Straight from the get-go.
By this point, doesn't. Yeah, I'm not trying to torpedo your answer, but if you've only got a few weeks before, presumably Istvan, Alfarius would have known, right?
I think Richard actually is Alfarius, and he goes into the far future to take on the mantle.
Yeah, man.
So we've got a couple of Ferrus Manuses, which makes sense. We've got Chaos's fake news from Graham. The Lion, but this the person that I butchered their username has clearly shown that they are a First Legion fan from the start. I think Ferris Manus makes sense in the sort of like you're about to be set up here, but I would have thought, well, there's second or 11th is a good answer. I think I'm going to show my bias. Lehman Russ would be a particularly strong, because he gets deceived by everything that goes on. He thinks he's talking to Magnus when in reality he's talking to the demon that's kind of pulling the strings behind the scenes. So if he knew that Magnus was being played a bit, maybe they could have kept the Thousand Suns on side, and I think that would have swung the battle way in the favour of the Loyalists anyway. If the Lion knew, just fuck off to Caliban and sort stuff out early from Graham. Probably could have stopped the planet being blown up. Okay, so another question. What's your best? I'll always start with Welshie if I forget. What's your best and your worst hobby purchase for the Heresy?
Oh, my worst is the time I bought a full Mechanicum army, and I just couldn't get on board with them whatsoever. Like, I know it's stupid, right? Because we're talking about guys that are like 28,000 years in the future. They would be totally unrelatable to like me, like working class guy for Silcoats. But I have to feel like I can kind of relate to them and almost like channel them a little bit when I'm painting them, and then when I'm in like actually at a table playing somebody. Whereas the Mechanicum, like, while I love the models, I just never done it for me as an army. So, but by that point, I'd spent a few £100, which I sold them all. I got most of my money back, but it was a waste ultimately, you know. So that won't happen again. And my best purchase is probably I'm going to go with this. Yeah, aye, because I've really enjoyed it over the last sort of 4 weeks of hobby, and aye, so I'm going to go with my Warhound. I had 4 of them back in the day when I worked for Games Workshop, and I got staff discount, and they were cheap. So a full one on staff discount with 2 weapons was only like, I think, £228 back in the day, which is significantly cheaper than they are now. So I had them all, but I was a poor student and I had to pay rent, so they all got eBayed, and I always regretted that, you know. So now, obviously, we're in a position to rectify that, and got it rectified, the regret. And it's actually been a fun project as well. So yeah, I'm going to go with that.
What's taking you so long? 4 weeks to paint most of a Warhound? That's taking ages.
I know, I'm sorry. What can I say?
What about you, Richard? Best and worst?
Worst probably has to be Militia version 3, where I wanted to build a levy army, and I probably spent too much money on eBay buying Forge World torsos, and you know, the old Renegade upgrades.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But a load of them, lost traction with it, just couldn't deal with it, and then I had to sell that at a loss. That has to be my worst one. My best would be what would be my best actually? I think the termite's my best hobby purchase. Do you know that? And I can see Kieran's face just
I've not said anything.
hate it. No, I love the termite as a model, and as the idea of it just burrowing out of the ground in the back lines. It's attack from all fronts, isn't it? So it's very Alpha Legion-y, I think. And yeah, it's just a great model, I think. Great fun to paint. I really enjoyed painting it. And I'm going to get more to annoy Kira. So.
I'm sure you will. So Tom's best was buying all the black books at the right time when it went to 8th edition 40k and everyone jumped ship, which is that's a good one. And then his worst is a Mastodon. Probably from the build, I assume, Tom, you're going to have to elaborate on that. I would say the Mastodon's quite, like, in-game, it does what it needs to do, but it's a bit boring. It's not really a brilliant Lord of War choice. It doesn't really smash things from miles away, does it? Where do you get cheap Mark 3 and 4 plastic kits? Seems they're rising in price again. Heresy Trading again. I mean, giving them a bit of a nod today, taking responsibility as some sort of Scottish stamp on it. I don't know. They're not really in the third-party things anymore.
Mark 3 are, Mark 4 aren't. You can still get Mark 3 for 24 quid almost anywhere.
So there you go. There's a top tip.
Yeah.
And they also think that the best is Sicarans and the worst is buying any non-Heresy minis, which I would agree with at the moment, since my collection has become very Heresy focused. Best and worst is Thunderhawk, because it's dead cheap, but it's never been in a game. The flying base is an issue with the Thunderhawk, because you need to make it tall enough to avoid all the surrounding terrain, but still be able to actually use it without exposing it to everyone.
It's a great objective, though. You know, you could take it along for a narrative mission, have some guys defending it while it refuels, take off. You know.
Yeah. No, I've got Stephen Boner, the I don't know then in the chat. There we go. That makes no wonder he likes Sicarans. He's got about 50 of them, I think. So, top tips for someone starting out. Welshie.
Top tip from me: just do it. I know that's like a pure cop-out. I don't mean to share a booth you there. But no, just get stuck in. Don't think about what you can't do, because nobody's ever great at something for day one, right? You need to practice. So, yeah, just dive in, paint some stuff, play some games, try and enjoy it. It's supposed to be a hobby. It's supposed to be fun. But I think it's very easy to turn it into a chore by doing a wee bit of mental acrobatics and, like, thinking, oh my god, I need to have 3k straight away. You know, my army has to be able to do X, Y, Z. Like, I think you can very easily talk yourself out of having fun in 30k before you've even started. So my advice would be, don't fall into that trap and just actually try and enjoy it. Just get stuck in. Just paint some guys. Paint some tactical marines. You know, gun pigs is what 30k is all about. So that would be my advice. And just don't hold your breath for Forge World to do anything with the rules, you know.
So you've gotten told good points so far, and like I say, guys, give us your thoughts. It's good to hear that people are getting involved. That makes this is the whole point of this, is really to get your answers to these questions as well. So, Richard, what do you think?
I would just say, don't fall into the trap of you can't use 40k kits. You know, you see a lot of that asked online about, oh, can I use this Land Raider? Can I use this Predator? Can I use this Rhino? Can I use these parts from Marines? Yes, you can. The Chaos Space Marine range, you know, that's all, especially the older stuff, that's all old Mark V, isn't it? So, yes, you can mix all those bits into your army. And if you've got a couple of Forge World kits, use those extra bits. Just pad it out, you know, save yourself some money.
Tanks is a good
expand on that.
Yeah, that's like one of the big. I hate gatekeepers, but the tanks is one of the main things for people. Like, oh no, I'm a snob. Deimos pattern or nothing. But you know, Mars pattern, the plastic ones are in the black books. It's canon. You know, what I mean? It's not even as if you're doing the rules. They were there. They were just like slightly worse mechanically and technologically in universe, but they were still actually in service among the legions. You know, and they were easier to produce, easier to maintain. They just didn't have, I think in the fluff, is it just like they weren't amphibious or something like that, whereas Deimos pattern were. I could be wrong in that. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, that's prime gatekeeping territory there. Is like, oh no, don't use a plastic Land Raider. Like,
the big one for me is like the Chaos Space Marine plastics. You know, like I said, they're Mark V. The helmets are Mark II Serum pattern, is it? Or Sarum pattern. Anvilus backpacks, you can use them. They're all Heresy usable. Get a 5-man squad from Forge World, get a 10-man squad from GW Plastics, and kit bash them all together. You're going to get a great looking squad there.
Yeah,
Don't fall into the trap that you need to buy Forge World. You know, because that price is daunting to people, and I think that puts people off sometimes.
Yeah, definitely.
I think what you're looking at. If you were new, right, say somebody was watching this stream today and they thought, yeah, I want to start Heresy tomorrow, you're probably looking at about £1,000 to buy in, aren't you?
Yeah.
And that, for a lot of people, that's just an absolute no-go. So, yeah, I think you've really hit the nail on the head there, man. People should be allowed and even encouraged to use the plastic kits that are available, you know. Why would you pay 60 quid for a Vindicator when you could pay 28 quid to get a plastic one third party? It still fires the same weapon, you know. It's still got the same silhouette, the same footprint. It's just like not got round exhausts. You know what I mean? Yeah, like that's it. Like how anal are you about the shape of your exhausts? And don't get me wrong, I've got a lot of Deimos Pattern vehicles. I love the more rounded visuals of them, but like I would still use the plastic ones, you know. It's not one or the other. Both are okay.
I'm getting a curtain to wheel across the front of my cabinets here. This feels like I've been personally attacked. Not that I've got anything against the Mars part and stuff, but I went to town on my guys there. Forge World obviously saw me coming. Okay, so let's say you're sent back in time. You're infiltrated Forge World Studios. They're just finishing Betrayal, and you can give them some suggestions. What one thing are you going to tell them to put in?
In the rules or in the business?
You tell me. You're in the room. They're just about to send that off to the printer.
Do you know what? Do you know what I would tell them to change, right? And it's just it bugs me a lot, right? It's the command squad rules in that book have never changed up to now, right? Now, I love command squads. I think they're great. They're thematic. You can really go to town with them, with design, kitting them out. But do you know what they need? They need to have the character special rule. Because with that special rule, they can be really unique with rules, kit that are pertinent to the Legion at hand.
Yeah.
And without it, they just seem a bit lackluster. And you don't see people use them.
Yeah. I would add to that they should be able to take up to 10 of them in a squad as well. So that if they're in power armour, you can then fill out a Rhino or Land Raider or whatever. Yeah,
absolutely.
And you don't just get one shot off the table because, like, obviously that's your centerpiece unit. You spend a lot of hobby time on them, and they're a little bit bleh in rules, and then they just die.
Yeah.
So
I know, and the reason I've chosen that is because they haven't changed since book one. So if they did that in book one, I'd be using them more often.
Can you beat that, Welsh? Are you joining in with a very specific?
Yeah, man. So controversially, man, I would tell them to put in a business continuity plan, so that what did happen years later with Alan Bly.
Wait, can I just interrupt? So you're going to tell them that you get a business continuity plan instead of saying, Alan, do you want to go and get some chemotherapy or something?
No, right. So no, don't make me out to be a monster here, mate. I don't know the guy's circumstances in his personal life. I don't know how much he knew about his illness or whatever, right? So I'm going to remove that for the equation and not even make it about him. But in general, Forge World have hid behind that death for years. And it's been the big excuse, like, oh man, like since Alan passed, which was obviously tragic, right? But one of the top performing companies in the country, like if you look at their stock prices and stuff like that, should have a business continuity plan. Like, one of their core systems, their big cash cow, shouldn't rest on the shoulders and in the brain of one guy. So, yeah, I know that's probably going to ruffle a few feathers me saying that. Obviously, I'd prefer it if he was still alive, you know. But the business should have been better prepared. And I think Heresy still suffers now.
A long-term plan would have been beneficial. Obviously, we're suffering a wee bit now. So I think a longer-term plan would have been beneficial to the sort of future proofing of this hobby, because we've gone through 4 editions of 40k since it started. In fact, it's more than that. It's 5th edition it started in, isn't it? So 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, we're on 5 editions into the Heresy. And it's not really hugely, not that I like the rules, don't get me wrong, but it's not really moved on a great deal in terms of the it's not shown any flexibility, because they're obviously frightened of completely ruining a £75 book by making it defunct. So yeah, it's a bit. I think that's something in that is probably what I would say would be my answer. Would be something about like think about where you're taking this, because every second that we're in this hobby, people will be coming in and out, and eventually people are going to drop out if it doesn't continue on a fun trajectory. They're on about 20 black books at one point. I mean, I'll probably be dead by then. So got to look at life insurance.
10, the way it's going, you know. Sad but true.
Someone's saying go back in time and buy 20 each of Calth and Prospero. Well, Plastic Mark IIs would be nice to suggest. So yeah, there's a couple of sort of people agreeing about the using plastic kits. Lots of people saying that, which is good. So last question on this section. So this is one just for Welshie. We all know that you're a bit of a weapon. So which Heresy Wargear piece would you be?
I would be a chainsword because just one-dimensional, about as subtle as a brick. Yeah,
Okay,
just that's what it is.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
And for you, Richard, so you're known as the Toad. Have you tried to find a cyber familiar Toad for your army?
No, but I do have 4 Storm of Magic Toads in my painting cabinet.
Do you think they'll make an appearance
could
for the
use-
militia?
I could use them.
Give one a little bionic eye.
There's the Toad. The Toad icon comes out.
Yes.
You could paint one to look like yourself, though. Which would
Yeah, I could actually.
Anyway, so that was obviously it dragged out a bit because of my terrible technical skills, but that was section 1 of our show. Some people point out didn't realise how lucky they were when they got Prospero Burns. I've been challenged to print out a Toad for you, Richard.
Awesome.
Which I can do probably. So kind of moving on. This is a bit more where we need you guys really. So I'm sorry if an hour in you're thinking, "Blimmin' heck, this is still going on," but we need your input for this. So the whole concept of the show really is about audience participation and how best to make that what we want to do that's going to be different from the traditional podcasts. So we've got some of our ideas already of things we'd like to try, and some of them we are going to try. Someone saying they'd be frag grenades. So someone as well, our Dark Angel fan, how comfortable are we with printed parts? I'm very comfortable with that. I don't mind at all. It doesn't bother me at all. It's something that I am fine with. And we've got Whitewash Studio coming in with drinking games would be a good show concept. Richard is a well-known lightweight, so it would be a very short game for him. He'd be in bed by 8:10 if we started now.
Cheap date.
Cheap date.
Yeah.
So this is about us just telling you some of the things we'd like to try. We've got one coming up, which is going to be entertaining, and you can either do that now, you can email us, admin@Heresy.Scot, send us Facebook messages, use the hashtag Heresy.ScotCast as well, just to try and get some ideas out there. It's really, we want to take the chance to showcase ideas and maybe focus on those people that don't get enough recognition in our hobby. So one of our sections would be sort of picking out things that we've seen in the last wee while that we really like, which we've prepared coming up later in the show. We're going to do a timed debate, which you're going to enjoy. Won't spoil that. That's coming up after this. And you guys get to vote on who's the winner of the debate. We also want to kind of trial a bit more of a straightforward discussion where it'd be more like a soapbox, where someone would sort of give their view, and that could be a chance for you guys to feed into that and say whether you think that person's talking rubbish or not. I think we'd probably like to do something, what would you change section? So one of the things, boo them down. Yeah, if someone's talking rubbish, then please do boo. That would be good. Not me though. I've had enough stick today for this terrible technological mess I've made.
Your time will come. Your time will come.
It'll come, yeah. So, sort of the idea with what we would change would be something like a topic on, say, my current bugbear is the psychic phase. So maybe we'd have a discussion around the psychic phase and how we would make it better, and some of the things that we would like to try. But maybe we would start with the very start of the turn. So something like initial, always hated on Magnus. No, nothing against Magnus personally. Don't tell him I said that. The sort of idea of like reserves and stuff, like basically start at the very start of the the game and pick it apart bit by bit over the course of some shows, and see what that would be, like. And also just maybe even just doing a review of some of our favourite rules, or rules that we feel need a little bit of a boost or a tweak. Something like that would be quite interesting, I think, to pick apart. Sorry, I'm just doing most of the talking here. You guys can chime in if you disagree, but we did talk about this, and I've just stolen all your ideas as if it was mine, which is good for me. Sort of an army focus. I know we're not all Scottish in the chat, but something that would be sort of a chance for someone to show off their collection, maybe come on to the show and with a series of photos, and we could all have a chat about why they've done certain things. I think that would be quite fun to do. Although adding a fourth person into a Discord chat and me having to deal with that, we'll have to see how capable I am.
How capable Rachel is, you mean?
Yeah, Rachel can come in, or one of you will get
Yeah.
kicked out. That would be good. A chance for maybe a discussion on the Primarchs as well, how they come across on the table, how they come across in the lore. I think most people have probably got a major boner for Rogel Dorn right now, because he's come across very well in the Siege of Terra books.
King of the one-liners, isn't he?
He's got a lot of. Well, I guess since he did pretty much nothing when he went back to Terra, it just disappeared, and now he's getting to get his moment.
Has anybody won more Primarch 1v1s than Rogel Dawn?
Leman Russ.
Has he, though?
Yeah. Leman Russ has potentially killed 2 Primarchs. We just don't know. They'll never say.
Unconfirmed, right? Has anybody canonically won more 1v1s than Rogel Dawn?
Right. Well, we'll argue about this now, because it's on the. Leman Russ did wound Horus and had him beat, but just didn't deliver the killing blow. And he broke Magnus's back.
Right, okay, that's 2.
And if you count him getting his head kicked in against Angron, but Angron would have lost the battle, then that's 2.5.
Yeah, but I said the question was framed as Primarch 1v1s. So maybe it's 2 each with him and Dawn.
Maybe.
Has anybody else won 2? Confession time, I stopped reading the books about book 20-ish. So I'm a wee bit slow.
Let's make up then. Leman Russ goes and kicks in Alfarius, kicks in Sanguinius. So I'm getting some stick already. There is an argument in the chat about Magnus, which is good. I'm not getting involved in that. And then Leman Russ has lost the most 1v1s, which I guess is technically true. And Russ lost to Angron. Yeah, that's probably fair enough that I backtrack from that one. But a chance really to say who in the character-wise. I think... for me, obviously biased, I think Leman Russ does actually come over. I think the going to fight Horus was a bit dumb. They obviously wanted Leman Russ to get to do something before the end of the Heresy. But he comes across quite like, if you were going to be pals with someone, he'd probably be the one I'd pick to be pals with, because he'd probably go to bat for you. But that's kind of an aside. That's not really what this section's about. I'm just getting into Leman Russ loving rather than actually talking about the concepts of the show. You guys are dragging me into defending my boy instead.
I never knew you were a close personal friend of Leman Russ.
It's actually like, he's just coming in. I'm just getting him into the room. Here he is. And I guess obviously we would like to showcase some of the Heresy.Scot events, hoping to get a blog up on the website, which we've been talking about that website since we started it, and it's never had anything done, so might be a chance to kind of talk about the lore of what we're going for, and what's happened so far, a chance to put up the maps and stuff. Rachel did all that beautiful work, and then the maps have laid in a box with stickers on them that have never done anything with them, so maybe try and do something like that. And some of the ideas that we've seen on other podcast type ideas as well. So someone's already said it in the chat there, but kind of doing pick a legion and talking about them. Pick a legion and do the fluffiest but cost-effective list you can come up with. And then kind of trying to shy away from that competitiveness is definitely a topic I will have as a soapbox rant one day. It's such a strange term, saying like your army shouldn't be built to be crap because you'll lose every game, but that sort of fine line between win at all costs and just actually being capable is something I would like to explore as well. And that's me ranted all these out, so what do you guys think? Anything on there you would add?
No, I think you've covered all the bases, Kieran. The big one for me, though, is getting an input from the viewers and the community about what they're working on and showing it off. I'd like to see spotlight on you guys. We always our social media feeds are always filled with, the big names, which is great because they're big names because they're good. But I want to see what you guys are at. The local community who don't maybe have as many followers on Instagram or Facebook, because sometimes like it's those guys who come up with the really good schemes and ideas, and the best one actually is Finn Schaefer. We talked about his militia earlier.
You're bumming him up.
Well, I played his militia at your last event, Kieran, and I was blown away by it. It looked awesome.
Yeah, man. I played the one before the last one, and I loved it. The little muzzle flashes on some of the weapons and stuff like that.
Yeah. So,
probably.
Get him on, show it off. Find out where his ideas came from.
He's not very photogenic.
He's a handsome guy. He's a doctor now as well, isn't he? Dr. Schaefer in the house.
But that's what I mean, because I don't know if Finn's got Instagram or that. I've not seen it. If he does, if you do, Finn, post it up. But that's the stuff I want to see.
Yeah, I think there's definitely something in, without it just turning into a Scottish loving, there's probably something in, there's people that have come to most of the events, and I've not done a very good job, I'll hold my hands up to that, after the event, I've not really sort of showcasing tagging things and showing it off very well. I think doing something like that would be pretty good to try and get just a bit more buy-in. I don't know, I feel like I don't really listen to podcasts, so launching one is a bit of a bold move, or an equivalent of one, but the problem I have with a lot of these ones is they're not interactive. So if I listen to something and that person's saying something that pisses me off, then I don't really get a chance to reply. That's what I want to do here, is if I say something that annoys someone in the chat, I want them to just immediately say, hey, wait a minute, you're talking crap, and then we can have it out, and I can ban you from the chat, block you, and ban you from all future events. But yeah, it's kind of, that's what I want from you guys in the chat. It's what I want from you guys, challenging me with ideas. Just something that, no, I'm not angling for a fight. I don't want anyone to come up and smack me in the pus at an event. Thank you. But just something different. Like, if I'm going to sit on a stream, whether I'm on the show or not, I would want to be sitting painting. I've got all my Space Wolves down here next to me. If I'm sitting painting, I want to be able to interact with something. I don't feel that a lot of, some of these, we've kind of touched on it, some of the people with a lot of followers on Instagram, when you look at who they actually follow, the numbers are tiny, and it's kind of, I see that's quite selfish. Like, it's not very helpful to a community to kind of grow it if all you care about is your wee castle. And I'd quite like...
Just farming ego in it. It's like, I've got 20,000 followers, but I only follow 7 of my closest friends. Like, what?
7 spices of KFC that if you point it out, you get a free piece of art or something from them. That was that's what KFC did. I don't know. It's something that it kind of bugged me. So I'll just quickly go through the chat. So I've actually done it. So Graham wants us to do a challenge the channel, and there's something in that. I think the problem I've kind of got, and this is just me as Kieran saying, the challenge things, it almost encourages to play filthy. And I've seen on some of the podcasts, it's almost like encouraged now to build the list that would smash everyone, and they almost brag about it. And I'm not really like that. I just win all my games because I'm really good at the game. I'm lying. Probably lose more games than I win. But you see what I mean, like about it's just a game. Like, anyone can build a list that smashes anyone if they try hard enough. It's just not, I don't know, it doesn't really do it for me if it was maybe in a hypothetical way where you could do it online and just say, this is what we think would happen, but I'm not so excited for the idea of doing he's clarified with fluffy lists, definitely. Be interested in a fluff off, but not so much in a naughty off.
Maybe rather than challenge a channel, it's like fight the channel.
Physically fight the channel at an event.
Yeah, but 3v1 obviously, because it would be a short-lived reign of terror if we all get beat up on the first day.
Yeah, so I don't know. Something. Yeah, I think something with the fluff in it. I think that would be kind of, you could almost exclude when someone puts in a list. If they put in something crap, just delete it. Like if it's something that doesn't really fit. Who else has said anything there? Tom's looking forward to coming up for an event, which would be very welcome. Lore chats, we've already kind of said. Finn says thank you, doesn't need his ego inflated. He has said his Instagram, Schaefer_Finn, which I will put in. If I can copy it, I will copy it now so we can share it after we're done as well.
Yeah, Finn, don't sell them, mate. I'm going to make the decision for you. You're not allowed to sell them. Okay? Leave pass revoked for those militia.
Beautiful.
Heresy bum fights. I mean, if we start doing live stream games, then you never know. Could be some fisticuffs. Fluff related prizes from Graham, which should be good. Yep, I think that's a good idea. And Willie's saying I should actually go to an event, which is true. And Finn says, yeah, he's not going to sell his stuff because you've told him not to. But like I say at the start, just give us some feedback, some ideas. Anything's on the table at the minute. It's not. This is really just a trial to see if you guys are interested. See if you want us to do this sort of stuff. New kit reviews, event reviews, venue reviews. So yeah, I think that's quite a good, kind of on the same page, which is good. That's kind of what I always base if an event's good that I've put on, if it's kind of fits what most people want, and it seems like we've kind of got similar ideas to you guys, which should be good.
Yeah. And see, on that note, man, you're allowed to give negative feedback. Just going to throw that out there, right? I know it's like, I don't mean to put my pure cringy corporate head on, but people are scared to say they don't like stuff, and then you end up with like the Halo and Horns effect, where you only hear about, oh yeah, we love that, or like one really angry guy that's like, I absolutely hate that. Constructive criticism is a good thing, so like, don't be shy. You know, I can take it. You know?
Yeah, tech support is the definitely tech support. Tom has asked how often we're going to stream. I think we're aiming for the first Saturday of every month. I don't really see us being able to make more than that, because I think that would be the time commitment. Although it's only sort of coming in and chatting nonsense to you guys. First off, you guys have to be free to listen, and secondly, it does take a wee bit of prep. You kind of got a glimpse of my very badly put together notes, which these guys haven't properly seen, I don't think, but it takes a wee bit of time to prepare, so probably the first Saturday of every month is the easiest way of doing it. Time's up for debate. I don't mind. I think it's the evening is best, because it
I think this works, yeah. For me, like once a month's fine, because like my kids should have been in bed at 7 o'clock, but like I made both of them nap earlier on, so they'd stay up a little bit later. But probably don't want to disrupt their routine more often than that, you know. So once a month is good for me.
Richard, you got anything to say?
No, I'm good.
No comment. Okay.
I mean, I'm pretty, I'm like Kieran, I'm pretty laid back and easy, so I'll work around what's there.
That's fair enough. So we're going to move on to the bit that I kind of hyped up here, and then after that we're going to take a wee break so that we can go away and recharge our drinks and all that. But before that, since it's not quite the main event, but it's kind of the jewel in the crown, let's say, and I'm going to have to get a little timer ready. So every episode, what we're planning to do is do a structured debate. Each person's going to get 3 minutes, and they put across their point, and then their opponent will get a 3-minute rebuttal, and then they'll get the 3-minute rebuttal. So everyone gets 6 minutes, but it's 3 minutes from each person, then 3 minutes again, and they have to try and argue their corner. And I've picked the topic for this, not biased at all or anything, and I've not stitching Richard up like he thinks I am.
He's trying to drive a wedge between us.
Yeah,
yes. Don't let him. Don't let him do
so it. Today's topic, Master Debaters, is pretty much the way I would look at it. So this week it's going to be Welshie versus Richard on the use of a Typhon in pickup casual gaming and whether that's acceptable or not. I'm going to start with Welshie, and I'll give you a 3-second countdown,
That's a good
Right.
choice.
and it'll be Welsh. Well, I hope you know what side you're arguing, Richard. So
course I do.
Welshie, it's 3, 2, 1, go.
Right, okay. So for me, it's a no. Just get that out there. But it's not specifically Typhons. I think if it's a pickup game where nobody knows what you're bringing, you need to enter into that sort of game with the social contract firmly in mind, and don't bring stuff that breaks the game. And by break the game, I mean specifically to a Typhon, it removes agency for the other player. So because of the amount of special rules that the weapon's got and the range, the size of the template, there's nothing that anybody can do about it, really. It's strong enough to ignore FNP, it ignores cover. So unless you're shooting at Terminators with an invuln, the other person can't do anything. He just watches you roll some dice and then takes all his guys off the table. Guys that he might have spent 30, 40, 50, 100 hours painting. And to me, that's a big no-no in gaming in general. Typhon's not the only thing that does it. And I'm not saying it doesn't have its place, but for pickup games, definitely for me, it's a no for that reason, because there's nothing that the other person can do to mitigate it. It's just literally like point and click, take those guys away, and see you later. So I think, and I'm a total fluff bunny, unashamedly. For a game, I bring soft armies and I play in character. So for me, it's just like, it's a total eye roll unit if I see it at a narrative event. And sorry, Dick, I know you brought one. You like them, but it's I'm not into them. I don't know if that was 3 minutes or not, but I'm finished.
You've got a lot of time to spare. You want to do a wee dance?
No.
Go on, dance.
Okay,
No.
well, that was only 1 minute and 45, so that'll do for you then. Okay.
I'll pick my tea up. My wife's just made me tea.
Ah, that's nice.
My wife's the best.
Richard, you've got 3 minutes to tell us why it's acceptable to use a Typhon.
So hold on, better wait till he's back.
Yeah, we don't want any prejudgment, you've got to give you your fair chance to defend yourself. So 3, 2, 1, on you go.
Oh, start my timer. Right, okay. I have brought Typhons to pick up games, so say what you want in the chat, but okay. So when you come along to a pickup game, you don't know what you're going to come up against. All right? You need something that's versatile, something that can cover all bases, everything that you could come up against. The Typhon can do that. It's got the power to destroy infantry, tanks with all its special rules and its blast. You wouldn't come to a gunfight and take a stick, would you? No, you wouldn't, Welshie. You wouldn't. You're shaking your head there. So you're agreeing with me. You're agreeing with me. It's
Yes.
fine. It's fine. Okay, so the Typhon gives you that capability to cover all your bases, because like I said, in a pickup game, you probably don't know what you're coming up against unless you've predetermined lists, a narrative, and mission. Okay. Now, on top of that, I don't think the Typhon is as bad as you're trying to make out. It's only got 6 hull points. I've taken out a Typhon in 1 turn with 10 last cannons, but we're not arguing how strong last cannons are, so we'll leave that out of the picture. And I've had other units take out a Typhon in 1 turn. D-weapons, for example. So I don't think they're as bad as people make out they are. But I think at the end of the day, the model doesn't decide how it plays. It's up to the player. So if you, as the player, are deciding to take out all the key targets, all the squishy targets, and leave your opponent with nothing to fight against, that's on you, not the model. It's all based down on how the player plays the game. You make the decision. I'm done. Yeah.
Okay, maybe these 3 minutes are very generous. That was only 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I mean, actually,
Hey, you've got a rebuttal. Don't get in now.
Yeah.
You've got your 3 minutes to rebuttal now. 3, 2, 1,
This
go.
is not a rebuttal. I'm just going straight into it. There's no point wasting time. I agree with pretty much everything Dick said there. There are stronger units. They can die. I'm not saying it's invincible, but it still does remove agency from the other player. So it can be killed in one turn, but what if you don't get first turn? You know, what if you've got 10 last cannons and the Typhon takes them out? It's just like, you know, because the Typhon could get cover saves against the last cannons, but that isn't returned. It's a one-way street. That's why it's a no for me. But you know, you've made a lot of good points. The player does decide how they play, but I feel like that's a good point. But it's also a little bit of a cop out, because he's saying that if you bring a good unit to a game, you know exactly what it can do, and then if instead of shooting things like, you know, we're playing Warhammer, we're not playing Pillow Fight Hammer, you're supposed to kill the other guy's army. You know what I mean? So like, I'm not saying like, let's all just bring 120 tactical marines and charge at each other and roll a million dice, and then like nobody cares who wins because we're so bored. You know what I mean? It's like, if you play a unit not to its strengths, it's almost borderline patronising to the other guy. It's like a wee pat on the head, like, yeah, could kill your guys, but I'm not going to. And I'd rather just bring stuff that's like still strong, but maybe slightly more focused or less strong than a like all-rounder Typhon, and just have a good game and play in spirit. Like, have my units that I've brought do what they're supposed to do. Have my anti-tank units shoot tanks. Have my infantry units shoot infantry. Have my combat units charge into combat, and like, I know that everything's kind of fair and that all my things are interactive with the other guy. I guess that's my big bugbear. It's not interactive, you know. And you touched on it, but one of the things that can kill it, yeah, a D weapon, but a D weapon's not interactive either. Like, you roll it, and if you get a 6, then the other guy's just like, oh yeah, man, I'll just take my unit off without even getting a save, you know. So I don't think like saying it can die to D is a good defense for why it's okay to take it to a pickup game. Although what you said is factually correct, it can die in one shot to a D weapon, but like, I would also argue that if somebody's got a pickup game and you've not talked about army lists beforehand and they turn up with a D weapon, then that's also a dick move. You know what I mean? So I guess that's it. But like I said earlier on about negative feedback and stuff like that, it's okay to disagree. You know what I mean? I don't own 50k, so I don't enforce my play style or my preferences on other people unless I'm running the event, in which case I do. But that's it. That's all I've really got to say about that. I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not going to try and change your mind, but I do disagree with you.
Okay, 10 seconds to spare there. Right, Richard, you've got your 3 minutes. Go.
Yeah, we're not going to argue about it. You're not going to change my mind. It's fine. But it's, you know what, it might just be the different way we approach the game. I think it's totally fine to bring a weapon like that, but use it as you see fit. You know, take the gas off take your foot off the pedal, so to speak. Take the gas off if you feel you have to do that to your opponent. I don't think there's anything patronising with that. You're making sure that you're having a good game and they're having a good game. Fair point about bringing it along to a pickup game, but like I said, you want to cover your bases. There's no point coming along to a game and having a substandard force and your opponent turns up with a Typhon themselves. Do you know what I mean? So that's where I approach it from. I'll bring a strong list, but it doesn't mean I'll use it to its full potential. And all I've done there is I've covered my arse for what my opponent's going to bring. Because if I bring along a force that's substandard, and they've brought along a force that kicks my ass, and uses all their units to their full potential, like you were saying, you know, if they put all their last cannons against my tanks, I'm going to have a shit game. There's no doubt about it, because my force is substandard.
So I guess maybe something not to interrupt.
Oh, hey, you're interrupted. You had your chance.
Okay.
I've got a minute and a half to spare. On you go.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying, I guess maybe we're kind of agreeing that the social contract's important, and if everybody talked about it beforehand, you wouldn't have to second guess it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I would agree with that, yeah.
Because if you're saying you almost bring it like an insurance policy, but if you agreed beforehand that nobody was going to bring one, then you don't need insurance policy against something you know is not going to appear.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's how I approach my games, though. You know, I always make sure I've got an insurance policy in place, because I don't know what I'm coming up against.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. If I say, I'm not critiquing you. I use knights or a knight, one single knight. You know what I mean? So yeah, super.
I mean, Kieran uses a glaive, but you know.
Hey, this is You've got 45 seconds left. This is the worst debate in the history of debating. You've just invited your opponent in to agree with you instead of using your time wisely.
Exactly.
You've got
Mate,
20,
you're not going to split us up, mate.
30
You're not gonna
seconds.
that
30
list
seconds
is-
to finish your point, Richard, and then we're putting it
What's
over
more
to
to
the
say?
chat.
What's more to say? I've made my point.
Right.
Perfectly clear.
Your time's up then. Okay,
Go
so
on. Let's get on the chat.
we're going to go
Yeah.
for a wee 5-minute break to get toilet break, get another drink. In the time we're away, if you think Richard is the most convincing person, give us a toad emoji. If you think that Welshie is the most convincing person, give us a flame or something. I don't know. Anything that's not a toad. Let's go for...
No,
Why a flame?
there's a ginger power emoji.
Oh, is there?
Yeah. Somewhere.
Is that
Yeah,
what it's
ginger
for?
power. Ginger power for Welshie.
There you
Or,
go.
or OS frog. And I'll... You're ruining it. Richard's voted for Welshie's point. Anyway.
No. I was just showing you what it was.
Okay, right.
Oh,
Starting
okay.
from me. If you think both are wrong, that's acceptable as well. I'm going to put us on the wee break thing. Hopefully you won't hear me cursing my terrible technical skills again. I won't touch anything else. We'll be back in, we'll say, 5 minutes' time. So hold on, we'll be back.
Oh no, we're still on. All right, there we go. Yeah, you're not going to make us fight, man. Yeah, Dick, you're not allowed to use typhons against me, mate.
Nah. Sorry.
Yeah.
I won't.
I'm not dragging 4 hours to get pie plated off the table.
What's that?
I'm not dragging 4 hours to get pie plated off the table, man. All right, they can still hear us.
That's
I
fine.
think Kieran probably anticipated that would be a bit more fireworky than it ended up.
Yeah, I know, but the thing is, what you said in your first 3 minutes, you pretty much reiterated in your second 3 minutes. So
Yeah, no, that's it. I didn't have
So-
any what. Yeah, that's how I feel. And I'm happy with how I feel. I'm comfortable with it.
Yeah.
And so are you, and that's why we're not arguing.
yeah, exactly. And we both agreed that
Yeah,
it's down
like
to
the most boring debate ever.
uh,
We're just two guys that know what we think.
I know.
Yeah. Rich is talking about the points. It's only 395 points, Rich. Come on. Or 415 if you put on some token heavy bolters.
Where's the
How
ginger
much?
power? I'm only seeing toads here.
Yeah, man, that's fine. I'm okay if people don't agree with me. How much is a 10-man last cannon squad off the top of your head?
Oh, they must be over 400 points, surely. I think they're
It's a
about
genuine
twice the
question.
same.
Honestly, I don't know.
There we go. There's the ginger powers.
Yeah. Steve, you can take 2 if you're playing 4,000 points, mate. Because it's got less than 9 hull points. You shouldn't take 2 though.
No, I wouldn't even do that. Rich wants a 4K game. He's obviously
Make it
got 2.
6K. Yeah, I've got David Graham in the chat, man. I'm on the same page there. I've not rolled a dice in anger for 15 months.
Jeez, oh. Last time I played was at Keenan's. I don't know how long ago. I would have been in between. What was that? 6 months ago, I think it was.
Yeah, just when lockdown got eased over the summer.
Yeah.
Oh, look what's on my table. I know nobody in the stream can see, but because you built it for me, recognise him?
Lovely, lovely.
He is, after I finish my Warhound, he's next.
I hope you're pleased with that. I was how should I say? I was a bit sad I was sending him away.
I got like that as well with those militia. Obviously put a lot of effort into them. And I was like, could I just like really quickly bash out something else and send that away? But obviously that would have been a like slippery slope. I would have then loved that as well.
Yeah.
So I obviously just sent them away. But I think Adam liked them. Kieran said they were good. So
Yeah. Yeah, Adam actually he did mine and he smashed out the park. He did an Exodus conversion. Really good. Yeah. So I need to get that painted up soon. They can hear us, by the way, Keenan.
yeah, we've just been doing some audience interaction, mate, but we no video chat.
Then that'd be pretty awkward. Not a clue what I'm doing with this. I thought I was a bit more in control. As long as you guys didn't say anything horrible, then it's okay.
Nah,
So it's
no
pretty
cartoonist
close.
equal Graham, mate. The Flashpoint series is dead, mate.
Oh, that's a
Yeah.
terrible prophecy.
3v2 at the minute.
Yeah, it looks like Richard somehow managed to win this one. But
The people have spoken, you know.
it probably doesn't help when your opponent in a debate. Doesn't matter if you were debating like something that like is the Emperor a good dad? You've got to argue that point. You can't just say no, I agree with my opponent that he wasn't a good dad, and then you've basically lost the argument at that point. Get some debating skills.
I don't know, mate. I think there's something to be said for if somebody like makes valid points, you've got to acknowledge it, even if you don't agree with it. You know what I mean?
Rachel, my wife Rachel, who was in debate club, which is not something I would probably admit to, but she's watching the stream. She was not very complimentary of your debating skills.
No,
Well, we're sorry.
Yeah, well, you should be sorry for her. She was the one that dug us out here and saved the stream. So we'll give it to Richard this time. Actually, I'm going to vote. I'm going to make it a draw. I'm voting with Welshie, so it's a tie at the minute unless someone comes in otherwise.
How dare you?
Well, I'm not
How
allowed to vote.
dare you snatch my victory?
And at one point you said something like it's the equaliser, and having seen Richard's dice rolls, he probably needs a Typhon to win a game, generally anyway, because I've never seen someone roll so many ones.
Oh, look, I've got another vote. It's 4-3 to me.
No, he's just
I'm
he's
taking
just
my
doing
vote
that
away.
'cause he's trolling me.
Now it's 5-3, look, mate. Yes.
Right, we're all going to fall out.
Gary.
We never argued during the debate, but let's fight now.
Yeah. Yeah. Rachel's giving you all sort like Rachel. It's not a debate stream. It's a heresy stream. She said anyway.
I think
don't start
at
with
the
I'm
end
not
of-
arguing with you because you are.
At the end of the day, though, Kieran, I think the two of us are both aware of how to approach our opponent and know of the social contract of the game. And even though we're looking at a different unit, at the end of the day, we're still looking at the social contract of that game, but in different viewpoints. So it's hard for us to make a debate out of that, I think.
It's a different argument. It was almost like a jokey one, just to try and show what it was meant to be. Anyway, the sort of like I've played games with Richard where the game's nearly been over, and he's it's the thing that someone said in the chat, and I think Welshie said it's almost like patronising if you don't try and finish off your opponent. But when it's done well, I think it's quite a skill for a gamer to have, where like they forget to shoot their 10 las cannons hiding in the building that would blow up the one vehicle that person has capable of having any fun. And then when the opponent says, oh, in you go, you can shoot it. To be like, nah, it's okay, I've moved on, I'm in my assault phase, I'm not going to shoot.
Mhm.
Like, I think that's a skill in itself, and that is probably a topic that I would like to talk about in one of these other sections. But it's we'll get to that eventually. So it's just a kind of jokey one. It's not a.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone would seriously argue that they would want to run a Typhon in every single game, and it's legit. No one probably
Yeah.
would do that anyway.
No.
Okay, so this is where it could all go very, very wrong. We have picked, in this section, we've picked some content we've seen this week, and just want to pick out some stuff that we've seen. It's kind of geared not to deliberately be the sort of 50,000 followers or whatever, but maybe someone who's made quite fast progress or is doing something cool. Sometimes it will be the person that's got millions of followers, that doesn't matter, but it's just a preference to kind of avoid the people that you've probably seen spammed all over Instagram or Facebook or whatever. So I have got some images that I am attempting to show. I'm going to have to open it on my phone to see what you guys see, because that is just going to be another one of these magical Kieran moments where Rachel's going to have to come running in and save the day, maybe. So we'll start with Welshie. We've got two for you.
Okay, man.
These will hopefully overlay us, and you won't be able to see us anymore, which might be a nice thing. So you've sent me these earlier. These are just taken off Instagram. Tell us a little bit about. We'll go for Jarring Warf 664 first, because I think we know who the other person is.
Yeah, so Jan Warf, I originally started speaking to him when I ran the Badab Brothers event last year, when lockdown started, and it was a wee bit, I know it's not Heresy related, but it was a Marine Civil War. So I put that together to kind of get people talking, staying in touch through lockdown, and this is a laugh, we thought it was only going to last 3 weeks, right? But yeah, just to keep people kind of talking and motivated, because it was all doom and gloom. And so I started following Jan Warf back then, and he's just absolutely smashing it constantly. I've chose that photo because it's got 3 Titans in it, and I think they look great. So if you like AT, I think you should definitely go give him a follow. And the second one's Barry. I think everybody knows Barry, but it's hard for me to talk about Hobby and not mention him, because basically for the last 17 years he's continuously forced me to pull on my try-hard pants and get better. When I first met Barry in 2004, I'd basically just left the army, was blind in one eye, and I was just like, oh yeah, I can't paint, so I won't paint. And I was like Mr. Drybrush. And Barry, the absolute bastard that he is, forced me to think about what I could do rather than what I couldn't do. So not only is he a great hobbyist, but he's actually a really nice guy. And that's why for episode 1, I just wanted to give him a shout out and almost say thanks for the support, you know. But yeah, and also I'm pretty sure he's got like 17,000 followers, so I'm pretty sure everybody already follows him. But if not, you know what I mean?
I've seen some of the stuff he's done. I've got a piece in my collection. He did a Lehman Russ with the spear for me. I think his skill is he just make like that picture we've chosen there shows the detail he can do, and I bet when that's primed, it just looks like he's not done anything. Because it'll look like it was the legit model, and the Lehman Russ in particular just looks like that. I mean, he's sculpted the head of the wolf onto the spear, and it just looks like something that Forge World would have done. So that picture there kind of just shows how willing he is to recreate those little details, like on Valdor's Greave, like shield tilt plate thing, recreating bits of his leg. I think that's just insane level of detail that he gets into his models. So he's well chosen. I have to say, I've not looked at Jarring Warf. Was not someone I followed until today when you sent me that. They've got
I don't think he like spams stuff, and he doesn't like fish for followers with like a million hashtags or anything like that. He's just a hobbyist. I don't actually know his real name, so that's so ignorant of me. But no, he's just a hobbyist, like pumping out really high quality content. Yeah, definitely. And I love it. I love it when his Titans appear in my feed.
Yep, I totally agree. Richard, you got anything to add?
I'm just looking at the sculpting on the green stuff. It's absolutely amazing, isn't it? You know, I struggle. I'm not the worst person with green stuff, but I would struggle to do that. I'm just shocked by that, blown away. He obviously knows how to get his consistency as well between his blue and his yellow, doesn't he? So That's
mixes it with
that's
melee
skill.
cut as well. So
Yeah.
you can see the different on his legs. That's 50-50 milliput and green stuff.
Yeah,
And then on the face, that's green stuff. So
and that's real skill that as well. That's amazing his work.
that's it.
Yeah.
And he helps. That's the thing. He helps. Like he's got that talent,
Mhm.
and he could be like, "Yeah, screw you, subscribe to my Patreon or whatever," or like, I don't know, whatever. He could just say no, but he's always happy to help. I go down to his house before COVID, obviously,
Mhm.
and we'd have like one-on-one tuition days, and it was really, really good for me. It's up my game consistently over the years.
And how do you know how long it would take him to produce a model like that?
That probably took about a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how many hours a day do you think?
I don't know. I wouldn't like
You
to
don't
give
know,
like I don't know, so I'd be lying or I'd be fabricating a number for you. I know like he won't be at it like 8 hours a day or whatever because a lot of the planning time he'll have to build it in stages. So he might work on it every day, but not like for a full shift.
No, it's good. It's real cool.
Nice. Again, this is sort of a chance for a bit of showing off some Scottishness, or at least people that we have adopted. It's a brilliant model, and the Titans as well. I mean, the colours in there are spectacular for the smaller scale kits. I mean, I've had my Adeptus Titanicus stuff for ages, and they never got beyond grey and yellow, I think, on the Gryphonicus I was working on. But some of the things that people have started doing with them is crazy. Like even on that one there, the Reaver on the right with the wee sort of dangly bits of cloth and things like that, just nice wee touches as they're trying to spell out what the Legios were all about. I think that's really cool.
Aye. Yeah, he's brilliant, man.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's your two. Richard, you picked a couple for us.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for them to come up. Are they up?
They're up for me.
Oh, here we go. Right, so the first one, John Luke Design. I didn't actually follow this guy until I think it was yesterday. Came up on my feed. But what struck me with this one was the carapace on top of the Warhounds, and it's supposed to be a throwback to the old armor cast Titans. Now, I'm not a big fan of those Titans, I'll be honest, but I loved this when I looked at it. Yeah. And that subtle change on those Warhounds really pops. It makes them look sleeker, and it just gives them that mean look. And I think keeping the Mars pattern heads fits. Yeah. Whereas I think this has made me realise on the armor cast ones, I didn't like the style of the heads because they were more like an actual dog. Do you know what I mean? Have you seen it? Yeah.
It was almost like comedy comic book, right?
Yeah, yeah. But you see that carapace, I think that looks awesome on those models. And when you actually, I could have chosen a better picture actually to send you, but when you actually look at the bases as well, they're really well detailed. That's supposed to be, if you look at the left Warhound, just where the base dips in, it looks like it's like water. It's supposed to be ice cracking underneath its feet and all that. Cool. Really well done. The whole model is just amazing. The detailing, the weathering on the carapace and that. But yeah, what really struck me about that was that simple carapace change. And what he's done is it's a new company called Battle Bling Store or something like that. And they've started making these 3D printed carapaces to make a throwback to these old designs. I think it looks great. Yeah,
I think the base, that I really like when people get that base design right, where it's kind of like whatever it is cut off and it's just black around the rim. I really like them when they're done well. They can look quite crap when someone does it and it doesn't quite work, but you can see there that person's obviously got the cut off really good on the one on the right hand side, where you can see there's a wee bit of sticky up detail that they've just managed to get the edge on and no more.
Yeah,
using the nameplates and stuff. Adeptus Titanicus again. It gives that sort of customizability where it'd be nice if you could get the 28mm ones in that scale, like in that style. But when you can get a wee 3D printer for a couple £100, print something like that at home, it just makes a big difference to the look of an army. I think that Warbringer's been
I think-
converted as well. Is that a Reaver head?
Yeah, I think the head, isn't it?
So I agree with that. I think that's brilliant. I don't know if I follow that person either. This is a terrible section for me if it's people that I don't follow, or good, I guess, if it's discovering people. And then
I
But he's such a snob, man.
don't think this guy has many followers.
look
Off
them
the
up.
top of my head.
Lie.
So,
But
but
because we've obviously
yeah.
got on the right hand side there is a friend of ours. You lead.
Yeah.
You start with. Tell us about Gary.
Yeah, so Gudgy Gamer, that's Gary Crossley, is from our neck of the woods. Apparently somebody said he's like the friendliest guy in Heresy, but I think they're just scared
He's
of
going
him
to
because of his face. Yeah, he's a bit scary looking, isn't he? With that beard. So, but joking aside, the reason I've chosen this one from himself, obviously it's really well painted. You know, you can see he's put a lot of effort into that. The basing looks great. But the important thing from this one to take from it is he's sat there and done these two models following a tutorial to better his skills. And it sort of shows, you know, if you want to get better at painting, you just need to put in the practice and the effort and the time, and you can achieve those painting outcomes, you know. And that's why I've chosen this one, because I think that sends that message really well.
Yeah,
Not
Gary's
saying
up
he
his
was
game
a
significantly, isn't he?
terrible painter, but he's obviously put in the effort here to get this and follow a walk. I think it was Cult of Paint. He
it's
used.
Cult of Paint.
Yeah. So he's followed their guide step by step, and he's got this, and yeah, they're great. And I think it is daunting for people coming into the hobby, seeing fantastic armies, and thinking, "Oh, I can never get that." But just put in the effort. You know, you can't achieve that.
Yeah.
The old 10,000 hours myth, right? Is I don't know if you've heard of this theory before, but when I used to work in Sports Scotland, it was a big thing that people would talk about. And it's like people believe that you're born with a God-given talent, but actually the number that people have arrived at is 10,000 hours. If you just apply 10,000 hours to your craft, you will be a master of it.
Yeah.
And you can see that, like, just keep plugging away.
Mhm.
Like you'll start off terrible because everybody does, but then you'll end up great if you stick at it, you know.
That's as Bruce Lee said, that he fears the man that practiced one kick 10,000 times rather than the man that's practiced 10,000 kicks once. So it kind of fits in there, I think, with that philosophy of just putting a bit of time into something. And he has done a great job. Like, we'll rip the piss out of him. I'm sure he'll be on the stream at some point. But those two models are some of the best that we've seen out of one. Like, the amount of effort he's put into that, the steps he's taken there to improve his skills, like, it'll stand him in good stead. Definitely put me to shame, because I'm a bit more of a quantity over quality kind of guy. But they look stunning on the battlefield when he gets an army finished. Just quickly before it disappears, Graham has asked you, Welshie, where you got your base from, because he's got a Warhound, doesn't he?
eBay, mate. I'll send you a link after this. I'll text it to you. I'm streaming, the camera's on my phone, so I don't want to take it down and text you now, but I'll text you a link.
Yeah, he said thank you. So yeah, I think there's not really much more to say about the effort there that Gary's put in. I've got a couple as well that I dug out today. I'll get rid of the ones on the back. So I picked something that, I don't know if you followed this project. The person does, both of these people in fact have a lot of followers, but the effort that Creative Micromanagement has put into these demons is just absolutely insane.
You know that they're a couple, mate. Do you know that's two people?
It's one's a painter and one's a builder or something, I think.
So they nickname themselves, the guy is called He Who Builds and the woman is called She Who Paints. And they basically, he just like smashes out all these models and then
she paints them.
Aye. But obviously it works, and that army is amazing. So sorry for putting in, but I just offer that.
Good to get a bit of background of the people. It's just mad when you go through this. Honestly, if you don't the mythical painting girlfriend in the chat, if you go through the stuff he's put together, he's got little like stick men with skeletons mixed in. That's going to be these sort of minor demons. Someone's asked if we'll put links up to these. Absolutely, that's only fair. I think it's fair that we let these people know that we've at least stolen their content and used it as our own. But it's all in a very positive way. The fact that he's put a little plasma burn where that poor space marine who's about to get his head ripped off has shot his last shot from that pistol. It's just things like that that just make me think this army is going to be something when it's done. I don't know if he sculpts the much of the detail on the little demons or if he's using other models, to be honest, because this one, the casts kind of look like he's using existing models.
Yes, there's 5 of them. Sorry, I follow this guy with great interest, so I know a wee bit about it, even though I've never met him.
I think he's Australian, isn't he?
Yeah, there's 5 base models in that range. They come in 3 different sizes, and he's basically used them, but obviously chopped them up and integrated marine parts, almost as if like they get absorbed. The marines get absorbed into the bog beasties. So to get those 5, he's got a lot of mileage out of them by chopping them up and resculpting them. You know.
They're brilliant. They're just such a cool concept. I think that's where we've kind of touched on it with the militia. Like Space Marines are kind of cool, and that's what it's all about. But the idea of just being able to make your own demons rather than using the Khorne ones or the Slaanesh ones, or using your own militia models that you found elsewhere, I just think it just adds a bit more flavour to your, more options to your flavours as well. Like it's very difficult to take a Space Wolf army and not have grey with red shoulder pad and frost weapons, but something like that is clearly unique. Very, very cool. Quite pleased with that. That someone's kind of. On you go.
I thought you'd gone down to B&Q and got some expanded foam for it.
If I could get expanding foam to spray like that, I'd be very happy. And then, unless anyone's got anything to add, the second one is another local up here. He's Liam. He's a fantastic painter. Probably, I don't think anyone would really disagree. He's probably the best painter in Inverness. Is that who that is? I've got a thumbs up. I don't know if that's someone, sort of, if it is Liam or not. I've lost track of who's who with the usernames. But that's Liam had a Ultramarine army that he put together. It's absolutely beautiful. Really quite a good list as well. It's he's had the best advice we could give him. But he started a little World Eaters thing on the side. He does his main stuff is his AOS stuff. He does a beautiful goblin. I can't remember what they're called now. Richard, you might know. Goblins.
Gloomspite Gits or something
he bought all
like
the
that.
new stuff.
Yeah.
But he started this thing on the side, the World Eaters, and as someone who has World Eaters, these are just brilliant. I know there's a few. I think if he's still here, then Whitewash Studios has got his beautiful World Eaters as well. Such an army that you can put a bit of. It probably is one of the ones where you can be a bit varied in, when you can go for that white and blue, you can go for white and red, you can start to chuck in quite a lot of red, and the blood obviously spattering everywhere. Liam's gone a bit light on that in this one, but gone more for the weathering, and I just think that just works. Just a really, really nice model. I can't really wax any more lyrical about it. Just a fantastic painter. Just need to get more games in.
Yeah, the painting on it is just, it's clean and crisp, and that's what you want in it on a marine like that, with that white paint.
Yeah, white, such a hard colour.
White on colour, yeah.
It's almost not white, it's like blue in it.
Yeah.
It's just very, 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 very light blue, as far as Ted would say.
But yeah, it's a brilliant. He's put a lot of effort into that. Okay, so that section was a bit shorter than I thought, but it's just that's what we're kind of going to go for. I think we're going to try and pick people, try and get at least one Scot per person, and then we'll try and show off some other people as well. Not that we're adding anything to them. It's just nice to sort of show off a nice model, I guess. They don't really need our help, but it would be nice to sort of have something like that to focus on and see if we can inspire other people into getting some follows or whatever. I've also got, try and keep this a bit shorter. There's a couple of people that have been quite kind to us over the time, especially Heresy.Scot. Maybe not you two, but certainly me. And the first one of those is obviously the Edge Empire guys, which is going to now cover over our faces. They're kind of an inspiration, and I'm sure people would share in that across the chat and across the whole of the community that's involved in 30k. The Edge Empire guys, they're very nice. They have a very good podcast by all accounts. Like I say, I don't really listen to them, so can't really comment. But it's a very well received one. Their events are probably the benchmark for the UK. I would probably give them that accolade. The effort that they put in, the facilities that they have access to. Not so much the sleeping arrangements. I like my own hotel room, but certainly the cost to opportunity that they offer is probably the best value you can get in the UK at the moment. Really enjoy their events. They have even given me a little nod at one point by taking some of my ideas and trying to make a bit more random mission antics, which is fantastic to see if I can inspire someone as good as them. And it's just something that's worth, if you ever see or you get the opportunity to go down to Durham and play in one of these, I would really recommend it. Certainly enjoy going down, getting quite a few drinks in, forgetting whatever I do on the Friday night, and then being expected to get up and roll some dice on the Saturday morning. Richard's been before. No, Richard's not been before. We were meant to go.
No, meant to go, but unfortunately, something called COVID got in the way.
Yeah, well,
So,
I think they're all shielding as well, so I don't think they could have run the event even if they were allowed at the moment. But they're brilliant events. Really, honestly, you have to be quick to get a ticket because they usually sell out within the day. But definitely worth keeping an eye on their page. When they reschedule lists, I'm sure there'll be people that won't be able to go. Try and get in that waiting list and honestly go along. You'll have an absolute blast. Getting to stay on site is really helpful for some people. I'm maybe getting a bit long in the tooth. I'll probably prefer to go and get a hotel or something nearby, but that's by the by. That's just me being old. But their events are really, really nice, so highly recommend them. And then my other wee shout out is they do offer on-site accommodation, so part of the ticket, which I think was £80, you get to stay in a dorm. It's like a scout camp, and you get to stay on site. They give you food as well, and there's a wee tuck shop that you can buy extras with. It doesn't get much better for £80, put it that way. It's fantastic value for money there. Not for everyone if you don't like to stay in a scout camp, like I say, but yeah, definitely. In terms of the event and stuff, it's brilliant. And then the other person, well, the two of them, the Hobby Butterflies, actually, they came up to one of our events. The pair of them are very, very nice. They go by Brother Handro and Der H. You'll have seen them posting online some of their stuff. But this blog, the one on the left, I've kind of stolen there, the roadmap to summer. That's a brilliant little article on what they're planning on doing to celebrate when we get through COVID. They're going to try and do like a campaign that combines Battlefleet Heresy and Zone Mortalis, and their armies are beautiful that they're working on as well. And they're not too bad on a 3D printer, so if you need any advice, that's who I would probably go to. I've had some great help on some pieces from a Space Wolf army. I managed to get Der H has made me some nice like shoulder pads that I can print at home, and yeah, fantastic. We've done very well. I've done very well out of them, so I thought I better give them a wee nod there as well. You guys probably haven't interacted with either of them, but if you've got nothing to say, I'll move on. I just wanted to give them a wee thumbs up from me. Okay, so we've kind of moved on to the other opinion piece style. We're moving now, we're motoring now through what we've got to show you today. This opinion piece is a bit more open discussion. There won't be a sort of a timer, there won't be a vote or anything like that, unless you want to boo the person off stage. It's me that's doing maybe most of the talking for this.
So we're allowed to agree this time then, right?
We are allowed to agree. Rachel's probably not watching anymore because she'll be so pig sick of what you've done.
Sorry, man. Yeah.
40k print groups. Yeah. That Dark Angel lover has pointed out that, oh no, she is watching. She said she's watching. Watch out.
You're getting a divorce, Keith.
No, you'll be getting banned for ever being allowed to come up. Yeah, so there's some good groups out there that cover 40k, but you can, I think, some sort of looking at what kits are available is quite good for printing if you do have a printer at home. Anyway, so this I guess the soapbox for me is, and we've kind of danced around it a wee bit, it's good that we're all on the same page, but it kind of takes the wind out of my sails when someone's already covered it. One of my big bugbears at the moment is when people ask for advice initially in this hobby. So they'll come into a group, they'll say, "Hey guys, I'm brand new. Here's the list that I've got that I want to buy." And immediately, the first 5 comments without fail will be telling them why they're wrong. And they'll be telling them what they've picked is shit. So it'll be someone who's probably running like a Leviathan without a pod. And immediately that first comment will be, "Why is that Leviathan not in a pod?" And the person might be saying, "Well, I collect, I don't know, let's say Death Guard." And I don't think Death Guard are unknown for having pods, but I can't think of anyone off the top of my head that wouldn't particularly use a drop pod. And they say, "Oh, it doesn't really fit my list. I was kind of imagining him being, since I'm running Death Guard, I want to have that slow walking line." But immediately, it's like they're getting told they're wrong. Like, I can't think of a quicker way to turn someone off the hobby than you come in all enthusiastic. Maybe you've managed to get a betrayal at Cal for 200 quid and you think that's a good deal, and you come in and you're all excited and you're wee in that sort of puppy mode, and then someone immediately shits all over your dreams by telling you you've done something wrong. It's not to say, and this is where I backtrack a little bit, it's not to say if someone, I don't know, if someone was running 3 Leviathans as their heavy support slots, not as 1 Talon, you might say you probably want to combine them into one, because then you're only giving away 1 victory point instead of 3 if they all die. But I just feel sometimes, and you see it a lot more now, it's almost like the gatekeeper thing comes in. Like, you're doing this wrong, therefore I'm going to tell you you're wrong. I don't know, I just feel like it could be handled a lot better. I think it could be, like, one of the problems is you're almost encouraging your own local meta to become the national meta or the international meta if you do that. So what we have up here is probably quite. We don't have a Terminator problem in Inverness at the moment. We don't have an art where people will only run veterans and Terminators as troops, which is one of the rights of war you probably see you would see quite a lot at events, or at least I've seen it a lot of events that I've gone to. And it becomes a bit boring when you go to an event and everyone's playing roughly the same list. So if someone came up to me and said, "I'm wanting to run 10 flamers in a drop pod or a termite," I'm like, alright, well, drop pods and termites aren't uncommon, but flamers are. Never see a flamer. Very rare that anyone ever brings a flamer out. And it's how do you... I want people, and maybe that's because I can afford to have a 10-man tactical squad that never makes the table because it's crappily armed, but let people make mistakes. Is maybe that the way I'm wanting to say it? Like, I don't feel like it's a particularly helpful advice to give someone to say, like, I've got 10 Varriger on the table next to me that I'm working on. If someone said to me they're crap, like, okay, well, I'm still going to run them because they might have crap banana fur, but they are my Space Wolf special unit, and I don't have many of them, so I'm going to run them. I don't know how you guys feel about that sort of. It's not, you're not actually helping someone by telling them they're doing something wrong, I don't think.
Yeah, there is no wrong, right? There's no wrong. This is coming from a guy who ran a Air Cavalry Iron Warrior list, so I feel like I'm living this. There is no wrong, by owning that army. End of the day, the legions, they've got their themes. There's 18 unique legions. They've got their 18 unique themes, but they still had the full panoply of war. Like, if you can imagine, say, Iron Warriors are known for breaking sieges, right? But do you think if they turned up to a planet where the enemy weren't hiding in a castle, do you think they went, "Oh, well, wait a minute, they're not hiding behind walls, we better just sack it and let somebody else come along"? No, like they would dust off the stuff that they don't use very often, and just get to the task at hand. So there's no right or wrong, and plus, obviously, because it's a narrative-focused game, like, when you're saying you're wrong, what you're saying is you're wrong and that won't achieve the objective that I'm assuming you're trying to achieve. But when people hobby, maybe their objective in doing the hobby is to build a fluffy narrative list. And maybe, just to continue the example you gave about a guy with a Leviathan that's not the pod on an infantry Death Guard list, maybe that Leviathan in his mind is the anchor around which the infantry are advancing. You know, maybe like the Leviathan's a figurehead, a lightning rod, and like a rallying point, you know, and narratively for his force. But like, if he's got a foot-slogging infantry force and then a random drop pod, how do you story that away? You know, like I
think
I don't know. I just don't get it. You know what I mean? I don't get it. I think
there's maybe a bit of a. It's like a. Maybe people come at the hobby for different reasons and they play for different things, but I just find like that's something that I would encourage. Like if somebody said they wanted to run, if it was totally crap, like if someone wants to run the Fury of the Ancients list, they deserve to be told they will lose a lot more games than they're going to ever win, because they'll lose 99.9% of games that they play. But I just don't tell someone they shouldn't do something at that early stage. Like I guess it'd be like a baby bird trying to come out the nest and the mother bird being like, no, don't go out today, you're just going to fall on the floor. Like, they'll never leave. Like, it's just such a weird, you're never going to learn the game if you spend all your time just reading online, because you'll never actually build your models. They'll just sit in a box.
Get the hell away from 4chan.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, they're not wrong. A lot of the things they say are right, but it's when you read something like the 1D4chan section on Mechanicum, and I did do that when I started my small army, they say things like, oh, don't get Myrmidons because Thalax do everything better. And they might do, and they might statistically be a better unit and cheaper, their troops choice. But I don't know, I just feel like that's a real disservice to everything about the game that I play for. Like, so if every Mechanicum army is the same, then that's probably quite accurate from a Mechanicum point of view, because they'd be the binary 0 or 1, 0 shite, 1's brilliant. But it feels like you just end up not actually playing a game anymore. You just kind of why even roll the dice?
Yeah, just play chess, right? Yeah, you know what I mean? If you want to have that gaming experience, just go play chess.
And even that though, like, because white always goes first in chess, so it's like chess in itself is inherently imbalanced. Which that's a big word for a 9 o'clock at night. I just feel like it's such a weird way of helping someone that you're not really helping someone doing that at all. It's definitely a soapbox moment for me. I could go on about this for ages, but Richard's not said anything, so come on, Richard.
Yeah, I've just been letting you to just have a wee discussion about it there. See, for me, it's just the way, it's more about how you approach that subject. I've done it a few times, actually. I've done it last week. Kieran, you'll remember Willie put up a post about his Night Lords list. I agree with you both. Don't go in and say that's wrong. You shouldn't take this, shouldn't take that. Okay, but what I do think if somebody's asking you, I think you do have a bit of service saying, well, you'd be better doing this because of this, within the limits of your right and war and what you're trying to achieve. So Willie was wanting to run a terror squad, and he had one rotor cannon, one flamer in it, and his idea was to keep them back and keep the flamer for close use. Yeah. And I said to him, well, if you're keeping them back, the chance of you using that flamer is quite slim. Put another rotor cannon in there instead of the flamer, and on your other terror squad, fit that out, and you make that unique to going in close. And I think when you approach someone's list like that and suggest those changes in that way, that's fine.
Yeah.
But I agree with you both. Don't go in and say, your Leviathan should be podding, or your Iron Warriors, you shouldn't have bikes. There's definitely a way to approach the subject and do it in a better sense.
Yeah, I think it comes.
Definitely. I think if somebody asks for advice, then they've left the door open for advice, and you've delivered the example you gave there. That's a good example of you actually giving advice. Like, so if he'd built the list that he'd suggested with a rotor cannon and the flamer, they don't synergize. His play experience might have been worse for that. So you've helped him build a better unit, but also maybe get more out of the hobby. And that's an example of the right way to give advice.
Yeah,
you've not just Leroy Jenkins in and went, well, the best thing is
exactly.
Yeah. So you must take that, otherwise you're stupid. Yeah.
I think it's like, this is something I've seen mentioned a few times. Take something as extreme as like the Space Wolves Facebook group. And it wasn't me that raised this. Someone else has pointed it out to me recently. It's really unhelpful when someone asks, like, you've said it already about the Mars pattern vehicles, and it is a common question, and it is something that unfortunately there's not really a large FAQ for new people in the heresy. That doesn't exist. That document would be great to produce, but where would it live? You wouldn't be able. You're never going to find it, and that question's asked a lot. But one of the ones I see a lot is about the Wolf Priest model from 2003. It's a beautiful model. Don't have a picture of it. If I had one handy, I could have shown everyone it. It's the one with he's got his mace out. He's Crozius to the. He's raised it, and he's got a really cool like leather mask on, and it's an old metal model, so it's very, very old. And a number of times I've seen people asking if you can use that, and you get the gatekeeper folk who come in, oh, it's clearly meant to be Mark 7 armor because it's got a couple of pipes on the chest. If you look at that model, it doesn't look like Mark 7 at all. I think that's just total gatekeeping to the extreme. It just looks like artificer armor to me. And I just don't understand why people feel the need to sort of not only piss in someone's army list, but if they've got that model, we've already seen it in the chat there tonight. If someone wants to run something in the short term while they build up an army, or if it's a perfectly legit model that they should be using, then they totally should be able to use it. Something that I just don't get why if you basically piss everyone off and chase away all the new blood, there's only going to be like a very finite amount of people playing the bloody game, and I'm going to end up going to an event where there's only going to be me and someone else, and then it's going to be a very short weekend because I'm not playing someone 5 times.
Yeah.
So it's that's strange. I'll get some of what's the chat saying here. So if getting starter level armies is a ploy to get people playing, I think that's probably a good idea. It's probably one of the reasons I got quite a few armies initially. At one point I had a stupid amount of armies, and I was letting people use them to get experience. I think that's a great idea to try and get 2 simple armies. Yeah. I guess the problem is if you've got sort of if they're identical, then it's not really you're not really showing the game off very, like, you're showing the nuance of Salamanders v Iron Hands because of the differences in shooting at each other, but maybe try and add in something a bit specialised to make it really stand out, like one side has a chaplain and one side has a praetor or something like that, just to try and add a bit of variety. I'm getting accused of starting the flamer meta. Jody's going to get a flamer heavy sports squad and a termite. Don't get me wrong, I think it would actually do alright.
Well, last time we played, Kieran, I put that flamer squad in a termite, not even heavy flamers, and I thought they did great.
Did alright.
The sheer number of hits, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's exactly it, mate. You know.
Yeah.
You must paint 200 Space Marines before you can comment on other people's lists. That's a bold rule. I don't think I'd be able to comment anymore, unless you count badly painted.
160, so I better just keep my mouth shut.
Richard's taking the credit for starting the flamer meta. Yeah, I think you're right, Finn, that it's kind of lockdown, not playing at events, not being able to play your pals. People are probably turning online for those interactions, and they're probably trying to get. I don't know. It's not like we're all nerds. We're all losers. We play little figures. There's no point in pretending otherwise. To try and be the king of the nerds is not really the place to be, because, like, I'm married. I've got my wife next door there. I've won. I've got a beautiful wife, got a lovely house, got a hobby room. Lucky me. I don't really care if I never win another game ever again. It's not about that, really. It's about having fun with pals. So telling me I'm wrong because I've got a Mars pattern predator, just fuck off. It doesn't do it for me at all. So yeah, it's a strange one if people feel that now's the time to be a knob online, because now is the time, like we've come up with. Let's try something new. Let's try and engage with people in a different way. It's a very strange way to treat people otherwise. Let's see what else. Budget lists is an idea for a segment. I quite like that idea.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Talk about other bit suppliers. So when you need something like a combi weapon or something, that's a good idea. Yeah, I think again, I'm just calling you the Dark Angel guy because I don't want to say your username wrong. But it's kind of right. You're saying there's a nice and a nasty way of saying everything. Yeah, I think it's how you deliver it matters a lot. I think like if I went to an event and someone put their army down and I put mine down and they immediately go, you've picked a Land Raider, that's shite. Like, all right, nice to meet you as well, dickhead. Like, not really like. There's definitely a way of delivering your points that doesn't have to be like cruel to someone. I don't know. It's very. Oh, wait a minute. I'll get to you in a minute, Tom. That is. Oh, wait. We'll keep working down the list. Tom has made a very bold claim there. We'll get him banned from the stream. So Finn follows up.
It's got a point, no, right?
Yeah,
No,
it
we'll get
does.
to that. Finn is followed up, sort of saying, cool and thematic is. It's hard to say someone's wrong, and I think that's my bugbear. Like, if you only run what's good, so Space Wolves are a good example. If I only run what's good, I would probably only run 60 to 120 Grey Slayers with a Praetor, because if I get across the board with a good mix of special weapon, like power fists and stuff in the squad, I'll probably kill most things I charge into. And not only would that just be a bit boring, don't forget the Typhon. Yeah, Typhon at the back to cover me. Like, it would look cool. You could probably argue it's fluffy that the Space Wolves would just charge headlong across the table. But, I don't know, it's a bit boring, isn't it? Like, kind of want to be able to see a bit of variety in an army. Like, I don't spam in one option. Always taking Iron Havocs in your Alpha Legion and
Philip Dick's getting it, Tyke.
really annoying with your Typhoon. And
Here,
your
I've
Sicari
got other
Marcus.
options coming. Don't worry. Don't worry.
Really annoying that.
I'll share you with my philosophy, right? Just while you're on that. So when I'm playing a game, in my mind, I have it that I need to do something in every phase of every turn of every game. I give myself the two exceptions of the turn one assault phase isn't always possible, and if I don't have any psychers, then obviously the psychic phase is a write-off. But yeah, so other than turn one assault, I have to do something in every phase of every turn of every game, and because I just want to always be doing something and be interactive. So yeah, that does lead to some stupid decisions and some unfavourable combats, but I feel like I have pretty good games off the back of that mentality, you know. So it might not be for everybody, but it works for me.
No, I think it's what we try and do at the events. Like, when you've lost, to concede to me, if someone spent money coming to an event, they've spent money traveling, they've probably got a hotel if they don't live locally. To have one of your games be like an hour long because your opponent concedes because you've either got lucky and smashed them, or you have been a manky bastard and you've smashed them. It just feels a bit like you're never going to go back to an event, and I think that's the right mentality to come into. Like, you've lost the game, it's turn 4, we've still got at least a turn left. What can I do in the next wee while that makes it worth it? And that's where secondary objectives for me come in. That's where we tried in one of our events to have it be more about the winner makes a decision on what their commander would do rather than their faction one. So if you voted to blow up the planet, blow up the AI in that one that we did, that was like up to you as a commander. And I think victory points tallying up where it's not just binary, I'm the winner, I get all the points, you get none. It matters a lot. I think that's where events can really make a difference in the mentality of that. In a pickup game like that game Richard talked about, we were done by turn 3, I think. And it was kind of like, okay, well, we could play on, but it doesn't really make sense because, like, you probably would have beat us twice for a start because you had the numbers and we didn't get our reserves in, and you let us have our reserves. I think we still would have lost. But it's different. I think you've got to kind of split that mentality into, like, if you're playing with your pals, it doesn't matter if one person wants to give up because you're pals and no one's really had to travel that far. When it's an event, I think you do need to try and make it a bit more interesting how do you keep someone engaged when they've maybe lost on turn 1?
Yeah. So I think probably there, though, you as an event organizer, I can't say the word, Jesus man, I'm tired. An event organizer, there we go, got slight responsibility to maybe police what people are bringing. And I know you have, like, you can tell people, look, you're going to tone that list down. I've done it myself. I know you personally don't favour banning stuff. I do. I take a heavy-handed approach and ban stuff at the one event that I ran. Yeah, I feel like you're the third party in that social contract of every game that happens at your event. So you've kind of semi-responsible for protecting the player experience there as well. And it's never happened to me. I've always had 5 great games at all the events that I've came to. But I remember the first one in May 2018 with Raymond's Knights, and he absolutely floored. Like, at one point, he had done a 1v2 and floored the 2 guys. And I'm thinking, oh man, like, that must have sucked, you know? That was probably why I banned Knights at Cortona. So we could all do more, I think, players and organisers.
I think so. That's a good example of the exactly what Finn's saying. I've kind of skipped through some of these. I'll come back to some of the comments, but Finn's pointing out that it's kind of you're responsible for the other person's experience. So hopefully Raymond isn't going to be mortally offended by this, because he was a little bit upset when it was pointed out that maybe he was playing a little bit on the filthier side. But in that final game,
adult, right?
in that final game, we did a 2v1 because someone had dropped out. Kieran, we call fake Kieran up here. It's not a horrible term. It's because I'm the real Kieran. He's the fake one. He was so drunk that he couldn't play. So he dropped out, and we decided to do a 2v1 with the Knights because Raymond had smashed everyone, and we're kind of like, uh-oh, what are we going to do with this? So we made it a 12 by 4, and had an objective. We made it all fun. The 2 guys that were playing them were up for it. But when it came to deployment, he waited until they deployed, and then he put all these Knights on the other side of the board so that he was only facing one person. So he was trying to do the right tactical decision, smash one army, then smash the second one. I feel like that was a mistake. I think that that's the psyche of I want to win the game versus like I maybe need to give these guys a chance. And there's nothing like
rather than the social contract.
Yeah, I think the social contract went out the window there. And in a way, that's not really Raymond's fault. That's my fault. I should have seen that coming. I should have made it a 9x4 or even just a 6x4 and told them they had to use reserves or something. That was a lot of lessons learned for me. I actually don't think Raymond probably did anything wrong, because what you want him to do, like, I just won't use half my army this game, I'll just leave them in the case. It's quite harsh to single him out. I think he could have been kinder, but it's an event. Like, that's the bit that I really struggle with. I think it's not black and white, it's how you see it. And I see it as, if I go home having beaten 2 people comfortably, I think he lost like 7 Knights. I think he lost like 2 in that game. Like, absolutely smashed 6,000 points with his 3,000 points. It wasn't really something that we'd seen before. So we've learned a lot from it. And he has been back, which is good. I don't want to put him off. Like that sounds like we've character assassinated Raymond.
On that note, because we might sound like we're kind of hanging out the back of him a wee bit. So he came to my event that I ran, and I got some really positive feedback about him, because one of the people that he played was a brand new player, Michael's mate, who'd never played before. And so that was actually his first experience of Heresy, and he had nothing but good things to say about Raymond. So I think at the table, he's actually a really nice guy, and obviously I spoke to him a lot in the build-up. So we're not saying he's a bad person. We're just using a Knight army in a vacuum as an example of something that's inherently quite unbalanced. Yeah. And so, no, like, if Raymond hears this isn't personal. It's just an example, because we've got a limited data set, and that's a good example within the data that we have. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just
Don't
to
get me
make
wrong.
that explicitly clear. Don't want
It did sound a little bit like we could have just said Mr. X instead. It's too late now. But like, I think that's it's right. Like, you can not. It's not like you just meet bastards in the hobby. Like, I genuinely don't think he really did anything wrong. Knights weren't banned. He brought Knights. He had a good run of luck. People had come with more general lists and weren't anticipating playing something like that. Nobody really did anything wrong. It definitely feeds more into your idea of saying, well, we just won't have them again. And that's where I'm kind of reluctant, on the basis that I think I could do other things. But it's a bit, I don't know. Again, let's kind of move on, because otherwise it sounds like we've just slagged off poor Raymond. You're a nice guy, Raymond. Don't feel bad if you hear this.
But the answer there is, just to end it, Forge World should do something.
Yeah.
Right, they've got the power. You know what I mean? But they obviously don't have the appetite, which is unfortunate.
I agree with that. Let's see, Finn's put some more stuff in. Yeah, so I don't know then, sort of saying it's a collection rather than a list. And I think that's probably what you can see in the background here. I've got quite a lot of Space Wolf stuff. It's not really a 3K and done concept for me. I kind of want the options to mix things about, just because it's more fun for me. And it not that I think we have a problem with list tailoring up in Inverness, but it just kind of keeps people on their toes a wee bit if they don't know what you're really coming with. So that's something I'm quite keen to encourage. Yeah, I think again Finn's kind of agreeing with you, Scott. There, it's Leviathans, Fire Raptors that you see a lot of because the game hasn't really done anything. And it's interesting that Anuj, before he left, one of the things he wanted to change was the flying rules, and I think that's quite interesting because personally, I can see what he's saying. I don't have a big problem with flyers. I think they don't play like they should because they can turn 90-degree angles and they can fly on and off the board, and it's a small board. But it was interesting. That was the one thing he really wanted to change, and I had a bit of a chat about it with him and sort of like, because for me the psychic phase is prime for change. I think it's boring. I've got more problems than flyers in my game, but it's interesting that you sort of see. Maybe it kind of gives you an insight of where they think the problems are with the game in Forge World.
I don't know if the wider community would agree with that, though. I mean, like, so the flyer rules, he's objectively correct in that they don't represent what an airplane does at war, right? So it would be flying at, I don't know, 10,000, 15,000 feet, dropping bombs, or a fire raptor might be a few hundred meters up, right? But if you look at a 30k game on a 6x4 board, like, I've been to real war. It doesn't happen in a tiny little footprint the size of a football field. You know what I mean? It's like, or when a weapon is considered long range, if you look at the ground scale, so like a las cannon, which literally fires weaponized light, has only got a range of like a couple of 100 meters. So you just have to suspend your disbelief. So yeah, like how jets interact with the table is absurd. But so is how every unit interacts with every other unit. It's not realistic, it's not a simulation. It's a game.
Well, it's because like in today, planes never see each other when they're fighting in the sky.
Right.
They're shooting missiles at each other from like miles away, and they shoot missiles at targets miles away. They don't ever actually fly over the city that they're doing anything to anymore. Those days are gone.
Man, there's a guy in a bunker in Texas, like designating where the bombs go. It's real war has got no place in Warhammer, which might be a bit stupid because the game name literally contains the word war.
You should get a t-shirt with that on it.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's not realistic. It's not designed to be realistic. It's designed to be interactive and fun.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah, I think anyway, we've got to get to what Tom has said about budget lists is a very Scottish subject. I mean, he's not wrong. And I know Tom has quite a big. I'm assuming it's the Tom that I know is Wargamer Tom that has the rather nice Emperor's Children. You've got quite a big army as well, so if you're still there, you're not wrong, but how very dare you insult us? You're not allowed to come up for events if you're going to say that.
Positive vibes only.
He says it is him. We had a very good game actually. That was I think that was the first time I went to Warhammer World to play 30k, maybe the second. I can't remember, but yeah, that was a nice. We had a nice game then, so I'll let him off this time. So
everybody gets one, Tom.
I'm getting told I need to bring a Typhon more, and then again, Finn's just keeps nailing it, sort of hitting the. Treat it as if the first time you speak to someone online, it's when you speak to someone online, it's the first time they've ever heard of Heresy, and then you'll be a better person for it, the better advice you would give. I think that's, like, you've got to encourage folk. I just don't understand why you wouldn't. I don't understand why, like, if someone new came into Inverness and we were allowed to meet them, and we got them round, and we were just a dick to them for a night, they're probably not going to play anymore. Like the same thing
What
applies
would be the
online.
point?
Here's our little community. Come on in. By the way, you're ugly and your list shite. Get lost. Doesn't really work, does it?
Yeah, apply that to any other hobby as well, man. If somebody really liked football or golf or fucking fishing or whatever, you know what I mean? Would you invite them along and then be an absolute cunt to them for 3 hours?
I'd hope
Right?
not.
Yeah. But no, you definitely wouldn't, right? That's not how people live their lives. But for some reason in wargaming, that's almost like the default stance. You know, I'll never get my head around gatekeeping. I just don't get it, and I'm happy that I don't get it. But yeah, it's like it's a weird abstraction of humanity that like wargamers are quite sort of on the less cruel end of the spectrum, let's say. But yet within the wargaming community, people get so elitist. It's weird.
Yeah.
I'm confused by it.
Mm.
Yeah, I agree with that. What else? Narrative versus tournaments. Yeah, I think that's kind of fair to say. Narrative is where we really focus in the Heresy, so not sure there'd be much appetite for a tournament. Like I went to the Throne of Skulls. I think I've done a Throne of Skulls with Heresy, and it wasn't very fun. And it was a doubles one, Throne of Skulls. That was a bit rubbish. It just didn't really seem original at all. People were just out to smash you. But the narrative weekends that I've been to have obviously been a lot better. Social Contract again is coming up there from I don't know then. I think it's just like when you go to an event, taking an average list of an all-comer list should negate that. I think that's kind of the if you think I might face some Terminators, I might face some Land Raiders, I might face this, you're probably going to build a balanced list. I just don't try and mix it up a bit with that.
That's why you take a Typhon.
Two of them.
Insurance policy.
Two.
Yeah.
Then Death Strike missile range. Are they the one that's got infinite range, or is it like?
Is it not like something stupid?
1,000?
960 inches.
Yeah,
something
like that. It's funny with that. Then Tom confirming he is the Emperor's Children man, and we've got Stephen saying he's got 25,000 points of White Scars, and then pointing out that we do rip each other in a equal, respectful way.
Yeah, I mean that's true. Like we do, and I expect people to take the piss at me, but like if I go to a group of new people and they go straight for the jugular, it's probably not going to end well for anybody. You know what I mean? It's certainly want to get another game of Heresy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just it's a weird that people feel that. I don't know. I just don't think you like if you were say you had a world ranking of Heresy players and you were in the top 3. Like in one hand, well done, I guess. But on the other hand, what have you done to get there? Like I don't really.
You're going to put that on your CV. Yeah, I
Yeah,
totally smash people at like future historical war games.
But you can probably already predict what the list would be to be in that top 3. Like so it's just not like. What I would like to see, if someone was good at the game, you could give them any list. And I've played some people that are like this. You give them any list and they would do really well with it. That's the sign of a good player. Someone who can buy the meta. That's the old 40k. That was 7th edition 40k. Every month something new would come out. A new supplement would come out. Folk would put their armies on eBay and then they would pick up the new one. Like it doesn't. You don't have to do that in 30k at all. That's the one good thing about the game being stale and stagnant. Really, is that we're not having that issue of every month a new model comes out and it's amazing and everyone buys it and you think, oh shit, I've got to buy this to compete now. So yeah, that's a weird one, I think. And then, just sort of talk at Hunter Killer missiles. I think they were infinite at one point. So yeah, anyway, that was my soapbox rant. And then just the last thing, we have, I'm amazed to say it's 2 hours 40 we've been going with my 20 minutes of pissing about.
I'm going to get killed when I get in the stairs.
Richard's already steaming as well. So we've kind of reached there, and it's more about the feedback now. So we've sort of showed off some of the things we want to do. We've sort of shown off the format that we might like to do. And it's kind of over to you guys now. So using the Heresy.ScotCast hashtag to get news out there, talk about the show, good and bad. I mean, well, I prefer bad in an email, but because then I can do something about it. Slagging me off
Not
online
slagging on social
probably
media.
won't be able to do very much about it. Send us messages on Facebook if you enjoyed it or you want to talk about stuff. Send an email to admin@Heresy.Scot if you'd like to type something a bit longer, that if you're not want to do it on your fat fingers on your phone like I've suffer from when I type U instead of
Like,
E all the time. or whatever
Not
it is.
everybody's got fat fingers, Kieran.
If
We've
you've got,
talked about this before. Jesus.
it's not that I'm getting old, it's just that I've
People
got
have
fat
all
fingers.
different sizes of fingers.
And
Right, man.
just a chance to hear from you guys, because like I said at the start, we're not doing this because we want to have a podcast that's the same as everyone else, and there's already a sea of them out there. There's some funny ones,
Yeah.
there's some good ones. I think I want to just kind of make something with you rather than for you. Like it's a chance. I've really enjoyed. I mean, I've maybe not done enough on the chat there, of getting people in. But I would really like to get you guys involved in buying into this sort of concept of trying to do it live. I'll be a bit more streamlined next time now that I am getting to learn the technology. And I'll try and not have, when we go for a pee break and we're going to be slagging you all off in the chat, I'll try and mute our side so you can't pick up on it and hear what these guys are saying while I'm in the toilet. But it's just kind of over to you now, because if you want us to do another one, then we will. Although we're probably going to do one anyway, and just to spite you. But if you want us to do another one and you want to get involved, send us some ideas. Tell us the ideas that we've said that you think are good. Tell us the ideas that you're not so keen on. Sounds like the debate has gone down badly. Get some lessons on being a tight arse debater.
I'm
well,
not here to fight, man.
we can pick
Yeah.
better topics than Typhons. I think it would be better to do. I've got a couple in mind already that would be quite good to do, like whether the veterans list is a fair game for like friendly pickup games, if that's all you're ever going to buy, because we've got a few people in our community who favour the veterans over normal blobs of tactical marines. Something like that would be a bit more heated, I imagine. But yeah, just send us some ideas, because otherwise it's going to be much like this, just a bit slimmer and streamlined.
I think we've done well to get over 2 hours here. I expected this to run out of steam after about 90 minutes. So the audience have been good. Like, we've had plenty of interaction, and I think in terms of, like, we've not video chatted before, other than a brief warm-up before this, and then a tech test a couple of weeks back. So yeah, I think it's been pretty decent. I've enjoyed myself. It's been good to chat Heresy.
I think the main thing for me is this is for the community. This is about the community. It's not just three guys sitting in a room talking about the newest book or, going over this Legion. We want people to feed back to us, tell us what they want to hear about, get involved.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the fairest way of putting it. It's not it's hard. Like, obviously we're G'ing you guys up, but the three of us could sit and do this if we wanted to on a Friday night and not have anyone watching if we really wanted to.
Yeah.
But we'd all agree with each other probably, and it'd be really boring. So I've really enjoyed having an audience there to put things in. We're exploring ways of trying to get more involvement, whether that means we try and come up with the best way of getting someone to send us in a list, or who wants to come on one day. I don't know. We've not really talked about that side of things, but
yeah, like, I'm just looking at the stream now, in case anybody wonders why I keep turning my head to my left. My monitor's over there with a stream on it. The little triangle could become a square. We could get a guest on.
Yeah. And that's not impossible, and that's something we have talked about a wee bit. Obviously, there'll be some caveats for that. I've got to make sure I don't get someone on who's going to come on with their girlfriend naked in the background or something like that and get us banned, as that seems to be the Twitch way. But yeah, something like that would be cool. And talking about the events, really, because like that's something I'll use this to talk about things I've got in my head for events. You can tell me if they're crap or not, because I don't feel that I can post that online, because then everyone sees it. But with a smaller select group of people, that would be good. And for the events, just as a final, since you've stayed on this long, some of you people, there's 18 of you left, the event's probably not going to happen in June, because that's ridiculous. I think, personally, I won't be running an event until the majority of the population is, well, everyone in the populations had the offer of a vaccine. There's a chance we might try and run it later in the summer and just try and get it in. But I think it's fairer to say it would be likely to be November again, to keep that sort of June-November 50-50 we've got going. We need to talk about it, and that involves you. It involves you two in front of me, just to try and see what's best, because I'm fully appreciate I've had that money in my PayPal account and the Heresy.Scot bank account for nearly 2 years by the time that happens. So I don't want it to sort of drag on and on and on to the point where we might never get to do it. So yeah, I would, if I was a betting man, I would say start planning for November. To you two guys. And what we might do, or at least what I would like to do, would be to run a one-off tied to the series, but not in the sort of established canon. Try and run an event sometime in sort of August, September, maybe, if we're allowed to, and everything goes to plan. But that's just a wee extra bit for you guys for hanging on in the stream there. So really, there's not much else for us to say. So I'll just say my bit first, and then I'll pass over to these two. Thank you very much for being part of this. It's been brilliant. I've really enjoyed it. Hopefully you got over the technical issues. Hopefully you've heard us, because I haven't heard anyone say anything bad's happened since. That'd be really awkward if it was just been us three talking and no one's been hearing us for ages, and you've just been teasing us. Yeah, I've really enjoyed that. So hopefully more of this, but you'll have to give us the feedback to tell us how to make it better. And it'll never be perfect. It can only be better, though, with input from you guys. So thank you very much. And Scott, Welshie, sorry, never get called Scott, Welshie.
Yeah, no, just mirror what you said, man. Just cheers for taking part. It's easy to stick this on the background and maybe listen to us and think, yeah, whatever, man, I might agree or disagree, but I'm not going to say anything. But people have been really active in the chat, and that was the whole point. So I feel like that's a win for us, and that people have got on board. Like getting other people to buy in to an idea that a bunch of guys had in a vacuum between themselves is the biggest challenge. So yeah, I'm really happy with that. I've enjoyed chatting. I've enjoyed the bants, you know. Seen some names. I've not spoken to Struan for a year and a half, so he was active in the chat. Same way, even Graham. I don't think I've seen him for a long time. Rich. I've probably not seen anybody in that chat who I've met before since the last event I went to. So yeah, it's quite good just to catch up, even in this weird, like, sort of one side texting, one side speaking way. And yeah, the hobby chat, you know.
Oh, he's frozen.
He's gone.
You just hung up on us. You just disappeared.
Aye, no, I've got nothing else to say, man. It's been fun, and I'll look forward to doing the next one.
Cool. Richard?
Yeah, same as those two. Thanks everyone for coming along. It's really good to see so many people having an input, having a good chat on the stream, because that's what we're really hoping for. And getting some input from the community, that's actually, I think that's really given us a boost to get another episode on the go after this.
Definitely.
Spread the word, spread the hashtag. We want to see everything you're working on. Give us ideas. I can't say it enough. This is for the community, by the community, and I think there's a niche in the podcast area for that. So yeah, thanks everyone for coming along. I hope you enjoyed yourselves. Sorry the debate didn't go as fiery as you may have liked.
Rachel will forgive you.
Discussion, all right.
Discussion.
Yeah.
I'd say discussion. Yeah.
Friendly.
Two adults presenting alternative viewpoints in a friendly manner.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then,
yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, thanks. That's it.
So just thanks very much, guys. If you want us to do something like a more painting thing, I think Welshie and Richard were trying to do a little bit of hobby there. Probably wouldn't do it in this sort of format, but I think we could have something where it's a bit more, let's talk while someone is painting. But we'll think about it. Send that comment, send the feedback in. We'll stop saying that because we've said that a million times. Thanks very much. We'll see you next time. I'll put the post up and let you guys know what we're doing. Thank you, cheers, and see you later.
See you later.